All right. Welcome to Bug City Session 2. Um, I'm tempted to call it Session 1.5, but here we are indeed. We are looking to wrap up our Shadowrunners uh, investigation into the disappearance of Victoria Gutierrez and her activities in connection with the Universal Brotherhood. But first, let's be reintroduced and reacquainted to our Shadowrunners. Let's start with Tejas. Tell us about Bogey again.
Yeah, so Bogey is sort of that hard-boiled detective, except that he used to be a mage with Lone Star, and for various reasons, he ended up on the outs along with a pretty severe injury that really jacked up his magic. So he has been replacing that old capability with bits and pieces of chrome here and there. So he's actually going with that Shadowrun stereotype of the burned out mage combined with the mage detective. And image wise, you know, picture Humphrey Bogart, you basically got it. Flags are question my reasoning so I can bring up my past as a source of expertise and get into a dangerous situation that I can resolve with moxie and bluster.
Love some good Moxie. Thanks, Tejas. Steven, can you tell us about Cloud Kills?
Sure. So Cloud Kills is a young activist Decker. She's got a past with a eco-terrorist organization called Terra First. She's currently a correspondent for a pirate broadcast called Illuminate the Illuminati. So she carries her camera around and is all about getting the big story and kind of revealing corruption wherever she can find it. Her closest ally on the team is probably Ace. Ace kind of worked to smuggle her out of the Terra First organization. Her flags are tempt me to discover something dangerous in order to discover the truth, and call me out for believing there is good in the world. She kind of wears tactical gear with a Hawaiian shirt, has dyed green and yellow hair, kind of punk hair. That also is kind of her persona in the Matrix. Her avatar is a little green and yellow cloud. So yeah, that's Cloud Kills.
Fantastic. Thank you. And how about let's do Kyle with Ace.
All right, so Ace is a elven drone rigger. He kind of looks like what you might imagine a character from Section 9 in Ghost in the Shell standalone complex might look like. He's always kind of geared up with cyber equipment, like a helmet, that kind of thing, tack vests. And he wears his black hair in a ponytail. And he used to work with the Elven Mafia, the Laesa, in Seattle, especially in Puyallup, where he was working on smuggling runs because he is a rigger. And something went wrong there, and he pretty much ended up having to lie low in Chicago. And that's how he ended up here. His flags are interrupt me when I'm communing or meditating so I can ignore you. So this is about being jacked in and being more sort of engage with the machines than engage with people. And get into a dangerous situation I can protect you from. This is mainly about having an eye out for everybody and trying to assist tactically with the operation in that way.
Turtleneck or no turtleneck?
I think there's a good chance there's a turtleneck,
I was feeling a turtleneck too.
Depending on the season,
Very cool. Andrew, can you tell us about Sharper?
Yeah, Sharper was hired and developed by a corp for industrial shadow work, but working for a corp directly instead of as a freelancer. And just recently had 30 years of his memory wiped out, and all but the most basic of his hardware taken out as part of his retirement package, which was pretty puny. So he's faced with mounting medical bills, and the cybers he has left don't work the way they're supposed to, because they're just kind of a step above civilian model with some problems. So he finds himself having to come out of retirement. But he has a strong adherence to the Bushido Code, even though he's Ronin. And, he may not remember what he was up to for the last 30 years, but he's still sort of a wily and dangerous old man. And, some things like killing fools are like riding a bike, they come back to you. So basically he's... his flags. One of them is to mention any kind of popular media or anything from the last 30 years, because, he's tried to do his research, but Wikipedia can't fill it all in. She looks like Scarlett Johansson. Just looking it up. And the other one is, ask him about the Bushido Code, because that's something that he cares about, that guides his behavior, that he feels is important to his work and his identity.
Awesome. Very cool. Last time we were watching our Intrepid Explorers, Bogey was meeting with detective or private investigator Bramba. Bramba was investigating the disappearance. Well, he was investigating Victoria before our runners had, at the behest of their Mr. Johnson, Daniel Simpson's wife, who had suspected that there was an affair going on, but sort of has taken on saving Victoria as his own personal mission, but he's kind of already stirred the pot before you guys got to it, so to speak. So we left off you having a meeting with Bramba, which was rudely interrupted by gunfire. I want to just resolve that with a custom move, a little love letter, so we can get that out of the way. I put it here in the chat, but I'll read it out loud just for the recording as well. Your meeting with Bramba was rudely interrupted by gunfire. Looks like the Universal Brotherhood are on to you. Roll plus quick to see how well you get out of this. Now, because you got a 10 plus, you get all 4 of the options. You actually got a 12. So, no problem. Especially because I don't think you have a quickness modifier, so that's lucky. So you learn something useful, you learn something valuable. You don't take on d6 damage from gunfire, and you manage to save Bramba, which is good because he's, as much of a creep and maybe kind of not the best detective in the world. He's pretty good with a gun. You might need that in the upcoming mission. So the useful thing you learn is related to these thugs, guards who have come to silence you. It was pretty clear that these people were armed for bear. They were coming to eliminate you, as opposed to those gangbangers who had driven by before, who might just have been interested in intimidating you and maybe kind of, encouraging you to stop investigating. You also learn that they had some magical equipment with them. They had some fetishes and things like that. They were wearing sort of like black business suits. And it doesn't seem as if that they weren't magicians themselves, but they had like a little, like a warding kind of fetish and things like that that would make them a little bit more supernaturally tough. They also, interestingly enough, both shared the same cosmetic implants, it appears. They had some sort of like, it looks like they had like mandibles implanted into their mouths, as like an intimidation tactic. So they both had almost kind of like orc tusks you would see, but the shape was a little bit more mandibular. So don't know if that's a calling card of their hitman group or what, but that's just an interesting thing. The valuable thing you learn. This is almost, I guess I would say, like a flash of insight that comes to you as you kind of look over the finely dressed attire of these hitmen, is that the property that was given to the Universal Brotherhood by Victoria, she's probably not the only one who has gone through this process. There's probably others who've also basically given everything that they own to the Brotherhood. So when you're down there looking for blood, the one-of-a-kind necklace that you were hired by Daniel Simpson to find, you might find some other good stuff too. Interesting thing. You managed to dodge bullets. You managed to save Bramba. He's not bad with a gun. He'll stick around with you. Okay. Next, I want to talk to. We'll go ahead and talk with Andrew then for Sharper. While you're preparing and things like that, you get a message from Johnny Novocaine. And as we know, Johnny Novocaine, they're very well known for their garish yellow raincoat, trench coat. It's sort of like a poly material. They have their red luchador boots up on the desk as they're video conferencing with you. You notice that they have some bullet holes in their jacket recently. Sharper, I'm leaving this message to apologize to you. Looks like I might have sent your milk run into a big old pile of dreck that you done stepped in, and you know what? Johnny is not known for that. I don't want you to think that I'm nothing but diligent. I look into these runs before I send you all on them. And I want you to know I'm sorry. I'm giving you all a bonus. Sending 1,000 new yen to each of your credit accounts. You can hold on to that. And, well, let's just say if you frag with the fixer, you're going to get the fire. So keep that in mind. I want you to take these guys out, whatever it takes. You come on down to Johnny's office. I'm going to have whatever kind of guns, gear you need. Consider it personal apology. Deck yourself out, whatever you think you're going to need to take out these fools. That's the end of the video conference.
So does that come to me or does that go to Cloud Kills?
I think that goes to you. I think that Johnny respects you personally and kind of sees you as the de facto leader of the group, even if you're just,
One of the guys.
One of the guys.
Is that something that, how good is the transmission dampening in the building?
Well, I think it's sent to you as a voicemail almost, like a recording.
I just want to know if I can forward that or make sure that the others get it.
Yeah, I think this is before you all are going into your mission, so this is part of your good 2 or 3 hours before you've all synced your watches, so you all have time to kind of gear up and get what you think you're going to need.
Since I'm trapped in the building.
Oh, I thought that you'd gotten out to the roof.
I wanted to make sure that I had access to the roof because that's where I was going to let everybody in.
So you're still hiding up in the drop ceiling and scuttling around?
Oh, not in the ceiling anymore. Now I've dropped out and I'm just proper scuttling in the hallways. But yeah, I mean, if that doesn't work, then I can extract. But I was thinking that I would provide the way in.
Let me roll the die of fate here and see what's going on in there.
Sure.
Because I had misunderstood that. Okay, you got a 5. So you're able to keep quiet where you're at. Yeah.
Okay.
That's just my way of sort of, figuring out situations that I'm not sure about. Sure. Transmission quality is going to be okay to send out messages, and you're also able to kind of be undetected while you're sort of preparing in this way. So nothing bad happens by you sticking around in here for a few hours. And I think if you have some gear that you want people to bring for you, go ahead and be thinking about that. We'll talk about it before we get started. But I want to talk to Cloud Kills about your meeting with Greensleeves. So Greensleeves, you mentioned, is an elf who was a member of Terra First, who you still have contact with, who I'm guessing is here in Chicago.
Yeah.
You have means, and you know that she has access to explosives. So I'm going to roll again the die of fate to determine what her demeanor towards you is, and I'll let you know ahead of time. A low result is going to be that she is sympathetic to the Universal Brotherhood and will not be interested in giving you explosives.
Cool.
But you might be able to wrinkle something else out of her. A middle result means that she'd be willing to provide the explosives to you, but she's going to ask a favor of you in return. And a high result means that she'll give it to you free of charge, but she might even be able to offer you more, because you're an old friend. Die of fate. A 2.
So not great.
Cloud Kills, I really think that you are, I think you're making a bad decision here. The Universal Brotherhood are good people. I mean,
I really want to believe that. I really do. I think we need to be cautious about this one. I got a bad vibe in there.
I love blowing shit up much as the next guy. Okay. But I'm talking about oil refinery plants. I'm talking about, krill containment tanks where they enslave those poor shrimp. Okay. That's the sort of stuff we blow up here.
Sure, and I'm right there with you. This is completely off the board for me.
Yeah, you've been off the board for a while.
Yeah, I know. You're my dealer, so yeah, there's a reason for that. But I just want to be sure that when I walk in here, I'm packing heat, the heat that I actually need. Should things happen? You've had my back in the past.
She kind of like crosses her arms across her chest, and you see she has like these bright green tattoos of like glowing nano tats of like leaves all up on her arms, which is where she got the name. And she says, "Look, I'm not giving you any like plastic explosives to level this soup kitchen, okay? That's ridiculous. But if you think you're going into a dangerous situation, I don't want you feeling, unsafe, I guess. You've done some good work for the Earth in the past. I respect that. But I need assurance that if I help you, you're going to help out Mother Earth in return."
I will, and I'll keep coming back to you. You got any more of those BTLs with the safaris in Africa? I'm always good for those.
I've got those anti-poaching hunting ones too. The real snuff stuff. That I have one where they skin this poacher. They take his horns off. Oh, it's so good. But that's kind of the hardcore stuff. But listen, I know you've been working with that pirate broadcast, Illuminate the Illuminati. Okay, and we have some similar love and hatred going on with them, right? We hate the corpse as much as y'all do. But listen, if you really love Mother Nature, you're going to use your platform as a way to bring out that message that Terra First is what's best for this Earth. Now, tell me, Cloud Kills, why would the people that you work for at Illuminate the Illuminati be unhappy with a Terra First message being broadcast on their network?
Oh, so they actually think that Terra First, the upper tiers of Terra First, have been basically infiltrated, or at least are sympathetic. So they think Terra First is sold out.
Oh, I see. Maybe even in the pocket of certain groups.
Yeah. So they don't think like there's a spy at the top, but they think they've sold out to the corporate masters, basically.
So I'm going to say that the stuff that Greensleeves can get you in the explosives department is above and beyond what Johnny Novocaine can get you. Maybe Johnny Novocaine has guns, swords, sensors, equipment like that, gadgets, but we're talking explosives. She's gonna have more access to that, and drugs if you want some drugs. I don't mind throwing that in there. So with that in mind, what are you gonna tell Greensleeves?
Just some plastique, like the stuff that we used on that oil rigger job back in Cali. Same stuff. I remember how to use it.
You really want to blow up that whole damn office building?
Not necessarily. I haven't made up my mind about these guys yet, but I want to have it on hand and ready to go if I need it,
You gonna send that message?
Yeah, I'll get the message out.
She hands you the data chip.
I'm not worried about it.
She says, "All right, your word's good for Greensleeves. I'll get a package for you. We'll kind of make those details more concrete in a moment." Ace, question for you. You're reviewing your surveillance tapes in preparation for the mission, right?
Mhm.
From what you recorded with your drone. So you can kind of get a feel for the geography, the geometry of the space that you're going to be infiltrating.
Right.
And you come to that part of the tape where you see the list of names on the whiteboard, where you initially saw Victoria's name circled, right?
Yep.
You notice on that same list, also circled, is the name of someone from your past.
Mm.
I want to hear their name and what your relationship with them was.
So I think given the nature of Universal Brotherhood, this is probably not like a higher up in the Lysa or anything like that. It's probably like a family connection or someone from the Barrens. But I think that someone from the Barrens would have no way to get to Chicago. So I think it's probably a family thing.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah. So I'm thinking this is probably like a cousin. Maybe someone who is a little bit more legit than me. I just knew them through family connections. And her name is probably like, let's see. I think it might be like an Anna.
Anna, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you see Anna last name on there.
Yeah, I don't have a last name because I just have a handle for my character. So
we'll just say it's enough for you to know it's her and not some other Anna.
Yeah.
So you know that she is involved in this as well.
Mm-hmm, okay. Yeah. So, I think I'd probably just see that and just kind of get that sinking feeling in my gut because I know there's something not quite right about this place, right? I don't know if we have or if Bogey shared that information about the weirdness of the aura of these people, but
sure, yes.
Yeah, this is something a little off. So
very cool.
I think I mentioned it when they were chasing you in the van and then you lost them.
Okay. Yeah, right.
So when you think about your family, right, your relatives who are more legit, who might not know what sort of activities you're into, what does...
Oh no, I mean they know, right? Like the
Okay.
Lysa is like the IRA, right? Like that's kind of I think the inspiration there. So like it's like, if you're Irish and you have family who's caught up in that, right? Like their word gets around, right?
Sure.
So yeah.
So Does Ace feel any obligation towards Anna, or any concerns that she might? What goes through your mind when you say, "Oh, Anna's involved"? What causes you to worry?
Yeah, I think there is a certain amount of family obligation, definitely, because I'm not really sure why I was or why I became a target back in Seattle. I'm not really sure what the situation is, but I still don't really have any reason to distrust my family. Maybe they even helped like spot me some money to get out of Seattle, to get the SIN credentials necessary to get to Chicago. So, yeah, I think it's definitely a concern for me.
Okay. Very interesting. So, the situation as it stands, Sharper is waiting in the wings inside the building. He has created an ingress for you all through the upper roof, through the ventilation shaft, right? It's a way to get in outside of the front doors, which is helpful. I want to know what everyone thinks will be their role in this extraction. Let's start with Sharper, because I think he has a pretty clear idea in mind.
Basically, the way he sees his role in this extraction is running point as far as opening the way to get down to where the action starts, and also keeping a clear head as far as what opportunities emerge, because the primary objective at this point has devolved from the necklace to the people involved. So at this point, it'll be a matter of attacks of opportunity. Let's see what the low-hanging fruit is. So
I love that. And just to clarify again, saving Victoria is not going to do anything for you all financially. I will say part of what I love about old school Shadowrun is this idea that karma can be gained by doing good works for the people. That's kind of part of the idea of karma, but so I'm going to have like a sort of like a number attached to that as an objective, but it's not going to give you any money. Bramba doesn't really have any money to offer you. Daniel has considered himself done with the relationship, so that's not going to happen. So financially, the necklace is all you're going to be reimbursed for. How about Cloud Kills the Hacker? I know you're going to want to do a lot of reporting, but
yeah. So she really. Oh, sorry, Kyle.
I just wanted to clarify the objective, because Johnny did sort of chip in with that video call, right, about taking people out. So I was wondering if like that is a objective now, or if we're still just on the extraction of the necklace.
That is technically an objective, but Johnny has already given you all $1,000 just
right,
in addition to whatever gear you want. So that's going towards your karma totals too.
Well, and really, I mean, I don't see this going down bloodless.
So yeah.
However, this goes,
I mean, the opposition
being so painful and potentially lethal for the people that Johnny's upset with. So I figure that's collateral. That's that's going to happen.
So I think what a lot of Shadowrunners might do when they go into an extraction situation is use stun rounds and stuff like that, because you don't necessarily want to make people more angry than you need to. And this is sort of something that happens a lot. This engineer is going from this corp to this corp, and we got to stun a few guards along the way. Sorry. And when you use guns, that's when people start to take a negative look at you. But because they fragged your fixer, or tried to at least, I think basically Johnny's saying go lethal and giving you the A-OK on that. That makes sense? Okay. So Cloud Kills the Hacker. What, other than reporting, what are you hoping to do in this mission?
Yeah, so Cloud Kills isn't necessarily like, she's not an impartial observer by any means. she wants to like have a really concrete difference, and she hates corrupt organizations. So her thing is she's going to go in and she's going to tell the story about whatever's going on down there because she thinks it might be something interesting. But if this is a corrupt organization, if she decides they're bad, then she's going to try to torch their building. That's why she's got all those explosives. She doesn't want to kill anybody. She doesn't care about causing damage to people. She wants to burn down the establishment. Anything that's corrupt, she's going to blow up.
Okay. Cool. I love a dynamic hacker. He's like, I'm also the explosives expert. Very cool.
She multitasks.
Bogey and your goon Bramba, what are you hoping to accomplish?
Well, I think that because I kind of like lost touch with the guys and had to, well, the team, I should say, and then had to reestablish contact, I kind of have, before I reconnect with them, basically get the necklace as one goal and then help Bramba get Victoria specifically as another. And I'm sort of like figuring that I'm going to meet up with the team and lay out some of the stuff that I've found out with them. And it sounds like we're already kind of reacting to that information. But yeah, I'm figuring on when I go in, I'm looking for her to kind of deal with that extra pay dirt stuff and to also tie in with cloud kills. I think that I can pretty reliably say, like, hey, this group sounds like it's some sort of cult. I don't know that they're necessarily taking people, like deceiving them into giving up all their worldly possessions when they go in. But, you know, I think anybody who's external to a cult sees, like, even if it's given willingly, it's still a kind of manipulation to give up everything when you join. And, you know, also the fact that because they've been doing that, there's going to be a certain amount of loot that we can maybe extract for ourselves to finance anything else that we're doing. That'll probably give Cloud Kill sort of her, you know, the ill intent of the organization, if we can find proof of that, plus pad our pockets a little bit for, you know, whatever's going to follow, because obviously Victoria's in trouble. She may not even want to come with us if she's been brainwashed by this cult. We just got to see what's going on with her.
Okay. So in some ways, we have Sharper's kind of doing point, and you're kind of watching backs. You've got guns trained, but you're keeping an eye on, you know, where the different objectives are, kind of thing too, right? Cool.
Yeah.
And plus, you have the second sight. So
right. And I think that as just sort of like a personal thing, it's weird that they all have these funky auras. And, you know, like cult leaders who brainwash people, like people's auras get all goofed up when they've got some sort of like manipulation like happening to them if it's contrary to the way they would be normally. So I like right now I feel like trying to find out why there's an actual mystical component to this. Like brainwashing should just be something that, you know, you see as a conflict in their aura in terms of personality, not like in actual like, hey, plus your aura is mystically messed up. So he's probably curious to see what's going on there, but he doesn't necessarily think that that has as much to do with the ill intent of the Brotherhood as just the fact they're brainwashing people into giving up all their stuff.
And as an ex-cop, you know it's important to trust your gut. So if you have a bad feeling about things, you know, trust your intuition. And finally, Ace, you are planning to do what?
Yeah. So
I'm sorry. Could I add one other thing? With the Cyber Eyes, like when those two goons came after us, I like real quick like flashed some like snapshots with my you know, camera eyes, and I'm thinking if I can send that on to Cloud Kills or whatever, just proof that those guys were on the payroll might give us some leverage.
Sounds great. Ace, let's hear from you.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to be pretty much going in with my recon drone. I'm going to be providing like tactical intelligence to the group. I'll pretty much be like Mei Ling in MGS, providing the Soliton radar support for Sharper and company to know where to move, who to avoid, that kind of thing. And as a sort of secondary objective, that is like I'll definitely be looking for the jewels. See if I can find them somewhere, or somewhere they might be. But as a secondary objective, I'm also, and I probably approach, I probably approach Bogey privately about this, but I want to try to get Anna out of there. Normally, I would just be about getting the jewels and getting out, but this is a family thing, so I want to kind of add this to the list of objectives as a thing we ought to be doing. Yeah.
Love it. We have 2 trying to get people out, and we have 1 trying to blow everything up.
Yeah.
Perfect. Very good. Yeah. Awesome. So, and of course, you always have your Tachikoma, I guess we could say, on standby to help, bust up things if things go south. So what I'm going to do, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break or so. I want you all to be thinking during the break of what kind of gear you want to get from Johnny. We're talking if you want to borrow a van, Ace, if you want another drone you can use as backup, or if you want some cool sensors or gear, you can get it. If you want, we're looking at healing options if you need stim patches for keeping people awake or keeping them from bleeding out. If you want med kits, things like that, you can get those. Cool guns, cool bullets, cool swords. Think about it. The world is yours. And you can get some explosives from Greensleeves also.
Before we go to break, I was just wondering if anyone had a recommendation for a particular supplement I might want to look at in terms of drones. Is there any supplement you remember especially that had a lot of drone examples in it? Something I might.
I got one on PDF. It's called the Rigger's Black Book. Yeah.
Okay. I'll see if I got that.
A ton of pictures. By the way, just sign up for Scribd for their free trial, and there are dozens of Shadowrun PDFs on there that you can just download. You get a free trial for Scribd for 30 days. Okay. That's where I got on mine.
Sure.
And then I think the 4th ed, when drone piloting became more important, there's
this is 1st ed stuff. So
okay. Yeah. Rigger Black Book is definitely
cool.
Rigger's Black Book.
Check it out. All right. Cool. Thanks, everybody.
Take a look at that. We're gonna take a quick break. See y'all at 7:10. Well, that's for me.
Hey, I had a question for you. Um, I don't remember this ever being a thing in game fiction, but I kind of like the idea of it. Um, or maybe it was, actually. Like, I remember there being a street drug that, like, did something. But anyway, I was thinking, like, stim patches help you ignore penalties and stuff, like, help get you back on your feet. For people who are magically active and kind of burnt out, is there anything that like might temporarily like give you a little bit of access, but in exchange for that you're going to be suffering like
Yeah, tell me more
later
about
on,
it.
like
Go ahead, we can make something up. So it's like a magical sort of ingredient as opposed to
right.
drug.
I'm thinking that, you take it like a drug, and I'm thinking that there is no controlled substance or there's no over-the-counter type of like stim patch version. There's only the, controlled, the cops crack down on it type of like street drug that like whiz gangers might take it because
This sounds like
they,
something Greensleeves would have,
Well, I
Yeah.
tell you what, if we're making stuff up instead of pulling from Shadowrun, I have a suggestion.
For this drug?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so call it blood lag, and
Okay.
when you take it, it has a save point, and it makes a little rash that's a rune, and when you touch the rune, then it pulls health from now into the future, and then you have to like at some point live with the jet lag between those two times that you existed.
Okay.
That's freaking cool. So you can have some blood lag if you want. So it takes health from the past into the future if you need
It
it.
remembers the shape that your body and bones used to have.
Oh,
So
it
it's a
remembers.
memory. It's going back to a save point.
Ooh,
However,
Yeah.
then you
I'm
exist.
like
feeling gross.
Then, of course, then there's some turbulence in your personal time frame that you have to work out.
I like blood lag. But what were you hoping your drug would do, Bogey? Like enhance your magical senses?
I was thinking like his magical senses are the last thing that he still has, but he used to be able to throw around a lot of flash, like
Oh, okay.
right now he's got his like machine pistol to make up for the fact that he has no combat magic, and he's got his personality to help out for like, the enchantment spells and all that stuff he used to be able to do. And I'm thinking of something like he could pop it and he kind of squints and like turns away knowing that he's going to be paying for it later, but then it gives him a chance to like get off, just it's more like re-accessing his old prowess for like just a hot second,
Yeah.
knowing that he's going to come down hard later.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
know-
we'll roll the die of fate when that time comes.
For Zelda fans, I think it'd be awesome if that came in the form of a fairy that goes, "Hey, listen," and it points out something that you would have otherwise missed. And then when it's over, you have to eat the fairy.
Yeah. So we'll call it fairy. You can get some fairy from Greensleeves. You can get some blood lag if you really want to mess with that stuff. You get, basically we'll look at that as like a +1 or something to a roll, or we roll a die of fate. We'll figure out what it means at the time.
Okay.
So what was everyone thinking? We'll start with let's start with Tejas. What sort of stuff have you sequestered or whatever the word is from the quartermaster? What'd you get from Johnny?
Well, I'm thinking based on what Bramba said, I know that there's going to be some like bad folks in there, like
Yeah, you got shut
like
up.
the head honchos and whatnot. But at the same time, most people are regular folks brainwashed. So what I was hoping to get was, like a couple extended length clips. You put them in his forearm and you see them sticking out, but like like one or two of those clips are just gel rounds, so that if he has to shoot somebody who he knows, that guy's doing this because he doesn't know any better, he can do that, but then he can switch out for regular ammo later, just some extended rounds of like gel rounds. And
So you
then,
said stick them into your forearm. You have that cyber limb, right? Do
right,
you
right,
have a
right.
cyber gun, or is that just like a storage compartment
I've got
that you
like
have on your arm?
I bought machine pistol, as his thing, and I figured that it's just like in his arm. If
Oh, sick,
he wants to be disarmed from it, I'm figuring that the story thing would be like it's a secondhand crappy cyber limb.
Sure.
Things get knocked out of whack. It's rule wise, for all intents and purposes, he's got a machine pistol, but imagery wise, it's in his hand, and so normally it's got enough clips that you put it inside, but if you want like an extended clip, then that clip's going to be sticking out of his forearm.
Okay. Yeah, I love implanted weaponry, so we can definitely do that. So you got some gel rounds, you got some fairy if you need that, if you need to,
Right.
use some chain lightning or something.
Right.
Cool. Was there anything else that you really were dying to have?
And then other than that, since I've got a few contacts, in the couple hours before, like when we get back together and then go hit the place, I'm gonna kind of send out through my extended network. Is there anybody who has, lost a loved one to the Universal Brotherhood, or lost like a close friend, and by lost they know they're in there, but suddenly their friend is like turned back on them. Basically, like, is there somebody that we can rely on as a, like, who else can we go in to find other than Victoria?
Yeah, so I think you have a couple people who fit that description. We can make those details more clear later.
Okay.
But they won't go inside with you, but I think they might be waiting
Oh,
nearby.
no. I'm more like
if you need
thinking
help when you come out.
favors for the future. Let me look for your
Yeah.
friend. Let me look for your wife. Let me look for whatever.
For sure. Yep. Love it. Steven, tell us what Cloudkill's got from Green Sleeves, and if she also got anything from Johnny.
Okay, so I think she got like a block of C10 plastique from Greensleeves, along with some BTLs, which are just recreational for her.
Sure.
I don't think she really picked up any additional gear.
Body armor, grenades of any kind.
Yeah, let's say that she likes explosives. So let's say she also picked up 2 concussion grenades from Greensleeves as well. I don't think she got any body armor. I think she runs without it most of the time, because she doesn't anticipate getting into a firefight, really. Like, she wants to be in the back. She also doesn't get gel rounds for the same reason. Like, if she has to fire her weapon, then things are bad.
Okay.
Yeah, she just, I think, changes into more tactical gear. She doesn't wear her Hawaiian shirt on runs. So she goes like, more dark tactical gear. She does do a facial recognition scan on those shots that Bogey sent over to her, I think.
Yeah. So I think what you gather from that, unfortunately, due to these cosmetic implants, you don't get a lot back. So maybe at one time, you might have been able to get a facial recognition scan, but nothing has happened since they've had their cosmetic implants that would put them in any databases. Later on, if you had more time, you might be able to do some Photoshop work and kind of clone stamp out their mandibles or whatever and try again. But I don't think you have enough time before the mission.
Can she quickly look and see if there are any other like similar mandibular implants? Like you said, these were kind of weird.
Yeah. I think maybe only in like back channels do you see any reference to these or anything like them. You don't really see a lot of stuff in major news network databases or archives or anything like that.
Okay.
Okay. Let's go with Sharper. So you've been inside. You've seen the security cameras, right? You just to kind of clarify you have the 3 floors. Above the second, third, and fourth floor are all office cubicles and stuff like that. You've seen a few guards walking around up there. They have batons and things like that. but they don't seem particularly intimidating necessarily. They're just sort of patrolling, maybe 2 to a floor. On the first floor, you still see Judy down there. Last time you looked, and she has a couple of sort of meaner looking guards with her. They do have machine pistols. You know that there is a employees only service elevator that goes just through the 1st through 4th floors, doesn't go down to the basement. And there's the secondary elevator on that 1st floor, which goes to the basement. So fortunately, you haven't been able to get any information about the basement. There's no security cameras linked from that station to it. So bit of a mystery. But with that in mind, what have you asked the crew to bring you for the mission?
Okay.
I think I saw some stuff in the chat
right,
there, but
I want them to bring me my dice show, my swords, my blades.
and that's like your kit of swords, like your long sword, short sword,
yes,
and
it's the katana, the wakizashi, and the tanto. So that's the
all
set
three.
of 3.
Okay.
So, also stim patches, trauma patches because they're different.
What purposes would this serve? Just to clarify.
My understanding is stim patches help you basically ignore wound penalties and, brighten up your eyes so you can keep going.
Okay.
Whereas trauma patches are somebody's down, you put a trauma patch on them, they don't die till you can get them out to proper medical help.
Cool.
Flash
I'm
grenades.
sure you won't need those though, right?
Well, you never know.
Good to be
flash grenades, because those are always fun. They have like 101 exciting uses. And then I wanted a trank gun with a drum and plenty of ammo.
Interesting. So you have the capability of stunning people, but you can always bring your sword to bear if you want to.
It's also Sharper's experience that anybody who can shrug off gunfire carries with them what they need to kill themselves. So my best bet is to get whatever they are trying to shoot at each other and wipe them out with that.
Very resourceful individual.
Up to and including their own armor-piercing limbs. But you generally, the die show is monomolecular blade. It should do it. I mean, oh no.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. I was thinking of those knives that were on that infomercial. So actually, with that in mind, and so we can give Ace enough time to look at their drones, can you describe your die show for us? What's their appearance? I'm assuming that these are very personal artifacts for you.
Yeah, they've got cherry red, like a hot rod for the sheaths. He wears the katana and wakizashi across his back, and the tanto he already has the tanto. It hangs between his shoulder blades. And they're Damascus steel, not because it's better, but because it's traditional. So they've got kind of a wavy, grainy sort of appearance. So they were made traditionally, and then they were enhanced. These are not like family heirlooms or anything, but when he got out, that was something he missed as much as his cybers. So his first check from his retirement fund, he went down to the market and found some swords that had enough blood in their history to speak to him, and he paid the asking price.
Paid ticket price, cool. And
I'm just curious, like when you dispatch someone out to grab your gear, who knows you and who knows your stuff well enough to go and get your stuff for you?
Well, I figured that was Cloud Kills.
Okay.
Because he enjoys the company of somebody who's not trying to compete with him. It's exhausting, and their Venn diagram is sufficiently distant that there's no need for that. He lives in a coffin hotel, so it's not hard to find his stuff. So he basically lives in a slot, and at the far end of this slot is a Shinto shrine with his daisho. So,
what do you do when you get your hands on these daisho, Cloud Kills? Do you do a little couple ninja moves, or are you respectful? What's your sort of approach?
No. She actually really, I think she respects she respects Sharper's belief and adherence to Buddhism and that philosophy. So again, like anything that actually is real and authentic, she kind of respects. So I think she's very careful with his kit and reverent with it almost.
Interesting, interesting. I could definitely see that. And I'm imagining there's got a little bit of a curve to them. Do they have a hand guard on them? They do.
Yeah.
Sharpened to a molecule sort of thing.
Well, basically, they look like other blades, and they're not like they're monofilament rather than monomolecular because I can't quite do that. But with the monofilament, that just means all of the awesome Yakuza anime stuff from the 80s is what you can do with it. You chop through a chair, then it goes thud and falls off.
You get your arterial blood sprays. Awesome.
Yeah, all the bad guys are shaken up before I cut them.
Very good. And finally, Ace, our rigger. What did you acquire?
Yeah, so I had a look through the Rigger Black Book, and I think that rather than asking for a different drone, I think that I'm gonna try to ask for a enhancement to my existing wheeled drone. So imagine my wheeled drone, because I already can do recon with my Hornet drone. I imagine the wheeled drone is more of a combat model. And so I was looking at the GM Nissan Doberman as an option there. So it's basically a armored wheeled drone for like basic combat purposes. Has a small mount on it.
If I recall from pictures I've seen, it's kind of got like 4 legs with wheels on the end of them that can kind of bend and turn and like that.
It looks more like just a really sort of like basic I don't know how you describe
it. Have like its own little wheels, like RC car.
Yeah, it's got 4 wheels on the side. And it kind of looks like a armored RC car, you could say. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It doesn't actually have like a size description in terms of like how large it actually is, but I assume it does say that it has it does say it can handle heavy weaponry.
Okay.
And it has a twin light machine gun mount on it. So I'm thinking that my request here is not to get the drone per se, but instead to get a minigun to mount on top of this thing, because we've heard from we've heard from our fixer that we're going in here to do some damage. So originally I was thinking, okay, I'm just going to be scouting. I'm not going to bring lethal stuff in. But now that we've heard that we're here to take some fools out, I'm going to have this in backup. So I think I'm taking in the what's it called here? The Vanquisher medium minigun.
Sure.
And I'm going to have that like
looking thing with the spinning barrel, or
yeah, I think so. It doesn't actually have a picture here, but I imagine it's something like that, and definitely makes a some kind of crazy whining sound when it's firing. And I think it's probably like recoil compensated with like an auto loader. Yeah. So I, in terms of World of Shadows rules, I think it counts as like a crazy gun. So like +2 AP. Yeah. So
when it comes to going loud and lethal, I think it's hard to beat a drone. So,
yeah.
Sure. Great. Okay. So Sharper, where are you at in the building as everyone is sort of assembled on the roof?
I jury-rigged a can of hairspray and a couple of other things to create a fire in the second floor bathroom. That should be going off about the time the team arrives. So what we're going to do is we're going to go downstairs and we're going to split up and have one group go take care of the guards in the bathroom upstairs, or we could just bypass them. I'm really not worried about them, and we'll just go straight for downstairs.
Okay.
While they're busy. So we should be able to go straight down the shaft. Personally, I think we can ignore them, but I'm open to other ideas.
Okay. So we have Bramba, Bogey, and Cloud Kills all coming in physically from the roof, right? And then we have Ace is in the Hornet, keeping an eye in the sky, also going in though physically, right? Who's sort of leading the way here? I'm assuming it's Bogey, but I don't know. Do you need to be in front to get a good shot? Cloud Kills, what do you think?
Well, remember, they can pretty easily shoot over my head, being a dwarf.
Oh, that's right. So does that mean you're kind of taking point until you meet up with Sharper?
Only because, it's the old-fashioned in him, but old habits die hard. Here's this young girl. Yeah, she knows that she's pretty badass, all that stuff. But, I mean, come on. You don't let the little young thing go first when, you've hit his age, so.
That's Bramba's attitude about it, too. How does that make you feel, Cloud Kills?
So I think she's actually okay with it, not because of like the gender issue, but just because these guys are a lot older than she is, and they've got a lot more experience. So I don't think she cares. Also, she's not filming. She doesn't film breaking and entering because she's always worried and cognizant that like if the camera gets taken, like she's got all her compatriots' pictures in there. So she only will film if like something interesting is in front of her.
Okay. You only film when you're already in there, so there's some plausible deniability.
Yeah, if she sees something interesting, then yeah, she'll film it. But she's not just like, it's not a reality show where she's like, look at all of us breaking into places.
So Boki, how about you go ahead and roll? I'm going to say this is probably with quickness, I think. Unless you have another idea about how you're sneaking in.
I think actually, since they've already been inside, they've got like a fair bit of like, here are the floor plans, here's what we know, here's where they've been. So as opposed to having to rely on agility and things like that, he's trying to come up with like hey, we should head down here, we should hang this left, we should be able to like loiter by the elevator for a minute before to let these goons pass. He's trying to come up with like his old sort of like SWAT training type of stuff to say how are they going to advance in there so they don't have to rely on his decrepit old legs actually accomplishing something useful.
And this is sort of related to your direct experience in street smarts as opposed to your textbook training on SWAT.
Right. I mean, like he was on SWAT, he was there to lob power balls, not to infiltrate.
I'm going to call this will. Then this is sort of your gut feeling, your impressions of things, your expectations of how people are going to behave. We'll call it will.
Okay. Let's see.
Because I also think it's like wisdom when I think of like Dungeons and Dragons. So
okay,
this would be a wisdom roll.
I got a 6, but with my will, oh, thank goodness, that's an 8.
And I think that your awareness skill probably comes into play here too.
Yeah.
So the way skills work is that if you get a mixed result, I kind of treat it as a 10, maybe not like a great 10, but it's still a 10.
Okay.
So because of your awareness, you're able to, kind of, I think you stop everyone at a critical time, and then like a guard runs by. They're all, so there's a fire on floor 2, and they're all kind of heading towards that way. So you're able to rendezvous with Sharper on the first floor. Is that right? Ground floor?
I figured I'd meet him upstairs and we'd all go down together, but
Okay.
I'm flexible.
So you meet in that staircase, fire escape landing right before going down into floor 1. And now Sharper has taken point again to sort of lead everyone towards this elevator.
There is only one way to go down to the basement from the building that I can detect based on their security systems. I'm glad you have explosives. We may need them.
Because why? What are you concerned about?
Well, when there's only one way in and you feel threatened, all you have to do is close that way.
Okay. So,
However,
oh yeah, go ahead.
However, in the military, they teach you the difference between concealment and cover. And with walls, similar notion.
So walls could be good for cover as well as concealment, and also potentially offer, if you need a hole in the ground, you just make one.
And as he's saying that, Cloud Kills sort of hands his daisho to him and gives a really awkward little bow because she doesn't actually know how to do it, and says, "Here, I got these for you."
Oh yeah, sure. Bow back and say thank you. That's better. I was all leaning forward.
So I can't imagine, both for Sharper and Bogey, that there isn't a certain sense of dread as you're kind of going towards this elevator, because it's never fun going towards one point of entry. It feels a little bit like a funnel, right?
Why are we fighting in a basement?
Yeah. So you're on the first floor. You can sort of duck between these little conference rooms, right? You kind of know the locations of the guards already, according to the last time you looked at the surveillance videos. You probably studied their patterns of movement, but you know that Judy is on the first floor still. And there are some concerns that, she might have some sort of magical abilities, because Bogey kind of had sensed her aura. So there's that to worry about. So with that in mind, what is your plan to get to this elevator through what is basically a straight hallway?
So basically my plan is to pop up in Judy's sightline and riddle her with tranq darts.
Okay,
and then
so
we
you want
to explosives to blow a hole and go down the shaft.
Okay. So are you going this
that's my
alone? Just get a whole group to go? What do you think?
I'd be backing him up. I'm not a real go around the side kind of guy.
How big is the Hornet?
Smells like the size of a fist at the biggest, right?
Yeah, it's about that large. It's meant to be inconspicuous. So it's maybe a little smaller than a fist in terms of its wingspan.
So Sharper's plan is to give a flash grenade, because they're not that big, to the Hornet and send it down there. And as the moment she is looking at it, detonate.
Okay. So you want me to drop a flash grenade?
Or hold it and pop it, either way. I mean,
I have a feeling that might be deleterious to the Hornet. But
okay. Here's what I'll say. I love this plan. Doing this is not necessarily going to damage the sensors of the Hornet. But if you are jacked in, you are experiencing this. So if you detonate that flash grenade, you're going to be feeling the same effects as Judy is.
Yeah.
Of course, if you know it's coming, is there a cybernetic equivalent to putting your forearm over your eyes? I mean,
basically, yeah.
Yeah, I could probably shut off the visual sensors before I do it. Yeah.
I have friends who say they pull the video card before I say certain things, just so that they get text and no images, because otherwise they're stressed. So maybe something like that.
Wow, that sounds really inconvenient. But
anyway, the idea is, like, the moment the flash grenade goes, hallway, spraying her with tranq darts. So
okay. Great. So I think that is something you could all sort of set up. You have your tranq darts, you have your gel rounds, Bogey. But I think that you embodying the drone and getting to Judy only to be noticed at the very last moment, and then closing your eyes, so to speak, before this grenade detonates without you running into a wall or whatever. Quickness roll, I think, will be best here.
Okay.
Because if you want to do it like at high speed, or if you want to like crawl and try to like sneak all the way up to her, I don't care which one. I'm leaving that to you.
Yeah. I think the way that I would do this would probably be more of the high speed variety. So let's go quickness. Oh, that is a 5.
Well, do you think that your drive skill applies here?
Whew, so I mean, it's really hard to say because I feel like it applies to the piloting end of this, but I'm not so sure it applies to the detonation end of this.
Sure.
So
I mean, I guess I would say if there was a specific like drone skill, that would be one thing and it would apply. But in the absence of a drone skill, I would say drive would apply to drones, right?
Right.
yeah, that's probably fair. So yeah, maybe this is a 7, you know.
Okay. Lucky you.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a choice. You can pull this off in time to blind Judy. But the speed that you're going to have to go at to do it is going to have to cause you to kamikaze your drone. Hurt you bad. Or you can dodge what Judy's about to throw at you, but she's not going to get blinded.
Okay. And I think given the circumstances, I think Ace would probably decide to make the dodge instead of doing the kamikaze run because they probably think that the drone is more valuable and they can trust Sharper's skills. So I think they're like, this is a distraction anyway. It'll be fine.
Here's the thing, right? You're jacked in. So this is not a matter of flying an RC car or RC plane into something. This is you basically dive bombing. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going down this hallway and you're picking up really fast speed, right? And you sort of almost get this tunnel vision of heading towards this front office. And you see as you get closer, Judy standing there and she's sort of like talking to these two guards, sort of looking back and forth at them. And then you see her eye sort of turn to you, right? As she starts to hear the very low whine. But as you pick up speed, it becomes louder. Right?
Yeah.
She turns a hand at you and kind of points at you. And because you're all jacked up on adrenaline and biofeedback and whatnot, it's sort of in slow motion as her hand sort of turns towards you. You see the lightning crackle out of her fingertips. You have just enough time to alter your movement, dodge that bolt. You go around her. Do you drop the grenade behind them, or are you still holding on to it as you're flying around?
I think what I would do would probably just be like to dive when I saw the lightning coming. So I'm probably still holding the grenade and like I'm down at like almost like ankle level because I'm just like dive like right down. Yeah.
So Sharper, you see that this maneuver has not gone according to plan. You know you have just moments before Judy's going to be either take him out, with the assistance of her guards, or she's going to take you out. It's only a matter of time. What are you doing here?
Drum-fed trank gun.
Okay. What happens if you get hit with like 15 trank darts? Do you like go into a coma?
Play to find out.
Good question. Okay, so are you running forward? Are you taking a firing position behind?
We're hand soloing this hallway.
Okay, very cool. I think this might be a matter of aiming for you, right?
I mean, I figure
Yeah,
he's
so I
going full auto or semi, whatever the gun can do. I'm pulling that goofy trigger as fast as it goes. So,
yeah.
what do you think? Quickness?
I was gonna say either quickness or keeping your cool, even, you know, as being able to walk down this hallway, or
Yeah.
what do you think applies here?
If there is something for keeping cool, then I'd love to use that. That's great.
I think I would call that either will or charisma. I think you have the same points in both of those, so it's just a matter of your determination is what's coming into play here.
So those are 2. So roll 2 dice.
Go for it.
All right, I got a 6 and a 5.
Oh,
so that's
sweet.
11 plus 2 is like 13.
Okay. So since this is a belt fed
Or drum.
trank gun, I'm going to call this 1d6 plus 2 damage.
Okay.
But it's not going to be lethal, basically.
So that's a 5 plus 2 is 7.
Well, that's nearly lethal. So you see Judy's eyes go wide as she gets hit with all these darts. I'm assuming it's like little, like a metallic syringe-looking darts, right? She gets riddled with like 7 of them on her body. She doesn't even have enough time to like cast another spell off at you before she stumbles and falls. Bogey, her 2 guards who are with her, have raised up machine pistols, and they're shooting at the 3 of you. How are you responding to that?
So I think that this hallway, like from what they told me before, is this the hallway that they were led down to head to those meeting rooms?
Right. So there's a hallway.
From that
You're coming from the meeting room side, which is also where the bathrooms and the security office was. If you go straight, there's an opening to the left where there's the sort of front entrance and the brochures and the front desk and things like that. And then beyond there is another hallway that leads to the elevator. So
yeah,
Ace
so
and the guards are in that sort of open front lobby area right now.
okay, so I think what happens is, like, I see their arms start to come up, and my, my eyes can't really go wide anymore as they're lidless now. But there's like all those crow's feet that go around the edge of the cyber that sort of like expand out, and I kind of glance over my shoulder, realize that Cloud Kills is right behind me, and so I'm right next to one of the rooms. I just grab a doorknob and like swing it out open in front of us, and
Okay.
basically with like my own machine pistol, I'm just gonna blast out the 2 hinges. It's probably gonna take me a second, but basically I'm making us some cover that I can run with.
Okay.
Basically, I'm trying to like bowl into them with this doorway, or whatever shards of it are left by the time I get down the hallway if they're chewing it up with their machine pistols.
So these are pretty thick quality doors. I think that they're used for sound insulation, stuff like that too. So it's going to be some kind of cover for you. And I'm not going to take that to a roll. I think that's going to be enough to save you and Bramba and Cloud Kills from getting hit by bullets. But Sharper's on this mission, and he's walking down these. He's beyond you. I think you're going to take some damage, Sharper. Go ahead and roll 1d6 plus 1. That's going to be damage heading towards you. Cloud Kills, you're seeing this pretty epic display of samurai badassery ahead of you. You have a moment of cover behind this door frame this door that Bogey has so bravely put in front of you. How are you responding to all of this?
And just to kind of frame what you're doing, Cloud Kills, I as I'm swinging the door out, I say, Bramba, grab the top of this damn thing. Kid, stay behind us.
Right. Do you follow this paternalistic advice, or?
No, I think she. I think she yells, "I can take care of myself," and then she ducks to the side, into the doorway that they just pulled the door off of, and uses that as cover while she fires toward the 2 guards.
Okay, very cool. So how about you roll for quickness? What kind of a gun do you have?
She's got an Ingram Warrior 10, so it looks like an Uzi, basically.
Nice.
But it's just a regular submachine gun. It's bigger than a machine pistol.
Okay.
So what do you want me to roll with? Is that quickness?
Yeah, let's do quickness for that.
Okay.
Kid, what are you doing?
What am I doing? And she got a, what is my quickness mod? She got an 8.
Okay. Looking at your skills, I think probably don't have much that applies here.
Yeah.
So you're going to be able to basically hit one of these guards enough to draw less attention to Sharper. But is your gun? It's going to be 1d6, but is that +1 or +2?
That's +1, and she just rolled a 1 with it, so she ended up with a 2 total.
Oh, nice. Well, it's very brave of you, but it's not going to be enough to take out this one guard. But
okay, can I say that this is the one guard that escorted her out of the toilet earlier?
does that like make you hesitate, or what happens? Or you just want to see his face?
No, I think she sort of like grimaces and thinks rude bastard to herself while she's plugging him.
Yeah, she's like, "Wait, you again?" So Ace, you see all this going down, right? And this is a pretty dangerous situation. It's kind of your fault that things are turning out the way they are. You're just in your little Hornet. What? How are you gonna try to salvage this?
Yeah. So I'm flying low to the ground, and I don't know. Is there like a desk or anything in this room, like the reception desk?
Yep, absolutely. Like a U-shaped desk. You can get around
and
it.
like, are the guards like behind the desk, or
they're more towards the lobby side of things.
Okay, so they're closer to the doors.
Right.
Yeah,
and they're moving to take cover around like the corner, basically.
Okay. The corner of the desk, or the corner of the room?
Like in the wall. So you have the hallway coming in and then that L. So they want to stand behind the L and pop out into the hallway.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So yeah, so I think I am gonna like fly low around the desk, and then gain altitude and come up just above it, and try to come up from behind them and detonate the flash grenade.
Sweet. So it'll be just enough behind that corner that hopefully your compatriots won't be blinded.
Yeah.
But since this is a similar maneuver as before, where you're trying to fly a little blind after you drop it, go ahead and roll plus quickness, and we'll see how you do there.
Sure. All right, that is a 7.
Okay. So you're able to do that, I think. You pull off this maneuver. This is probably a new thing for you too, you know. This would be like driving down the highway at 100 miles an hour at midnight, and then shutting your lights off, sort of thing, right?
Yeah, and just like, oh shit, and like, like cut the visuals, like blow the thing, and then as just like seconds later, like resume the visual feed and just be like, like bank as hard as I can.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're definitely able to do that. But this is a pretty big light, you know, and this is in the middle of a lobby with some glass doors in the front. So that burst of light is going to go out into the streets. I'm assuming it's a little bit closer to evening by now. So you might have brought some attention to yourself. We're not going to worry about that just yet, though.
Those clocks aren't high or anything.
I have a third hidden clock that I haven't been showing anyone yet.
Okay.
That one's being advanced. Sharper, the light is enough that you can kind of squint, but it doesn't blind you. You're at the head of the pack. You know that those guards are going to be disoriented for a moment. What's your play?
I don't know how flexible a combat round is. Can I just like
You don't really have those.
hose them down with trank darts?
You can do trank darts. You could probably have enough time to pull out your sword, whatever you want to do.
We'll see if they make me. We'll try the tranks first. They have the
Okay.
option of failing gracefully
Yeah.
before they
Well,
fail.
I think that you have enough time. You have enough of a spread that you can tranquilize both of these guys without any issues because they're sort of like blind, and you have enough time. Thanks.
I would like to try to do that.
So let's just go ahead and roll damage for that.
Oh, is that D6 plus 1?
I think it's +2 because you have this cool like belt-fed monster, right? Or do you see this as more of an SMG? What do you think?
Well, it's drum fed, so I figure it's about rifle size.
Yeah.
All right, so that's 2 plus 2 is 4.
Okay. So that would be enough to tranquilize the one that's already been shot to knock him unconscious. If you want to spread this to both, you could do that too. So just you could do 2 and 2, or
what's the consequence if I spread it to both?
They're still up. They're a little woozy, but they're still on their feet, and they're gonna have. Basically, we're gonna see if Bogey and Cloud Kills can come up and finish the job for you.
I'll spread it to both.
Okay. So, you're right. They get hit with these. They're blinded, but they're starting to recover. They're tranquilized, so they're a little woozy. But they're still getting ready to bring weaponry to bear. You're behind this door with Bambra, Bogey. What do you want to do?
Okay. It probably took longer than I wanted to bust it off its hinges, since it was kind of heavy duty, and I, had to use my gun to break it loose. But pretty much, I just whipped it out in front of me, and I wanted to run down the hall, kind of like hiding behind it. I'm not really sure, what's in front of me, except that I know that,
Bambra has enough height that he can.
That Sharper's
run into Sharper
there. So what I'm trying to do is basically like a barrel out into those two guys. So as they sort of like, reel and whatever and kind of stumble, I just sort of burst from the hallway into the room, like me holding the bottom, Bramble holding the top, and I'm trying to like plow into one of them, maybe like slam him into a wall, or maybe his, into the desk. But that's if all goes according to plan, which, who knows what the dice will say.
So are you trying to do damage here, or just make an opportunity for somebody else?
I think he doesn't know that a door is going to do a ton of, like real damage, but either it's going to knock him loopy or knock him on his butt. Either way, it opens up options for other people.
Okay. Well, let's say go ahead and roll with strength here.
Okay. That is a 9 with no bonus, so a 9.
Okay. Yeah, so you're able to sort of knock them off their feet just momentarily. Door shatters. You kind of lose your cover.
Oh,
Ramba goes like sailing over the desk himself. With a little leverage. But this is a golden opportunity for Cloud Kills. Remind me, you just have bullets, right?
Yeah, she's got no non-lethal options.
Are you going for the kill?
Are these guys down? Like, are they already sort of on the ground?
They just got knocked on their ass by Bogey.
Okay, so no, she's a bit far away, but she's definitely not going to shoot into that whole mess because, for one thing, Bogey's standing kind of over him, so she's a little worried about hitting him.
To be fair, I probably like plowed into them and then like either bounced off or rolled to the side, but I'm sort of like picking myself up from where I like, slammed into the scrum.
Okay.
Okay, so you think
Do you
Bogey's
call
alerted?
anything out to anyone?
I was gonna start yelling at them, but I'm actually shouting at Cloudkill, saying, "Kid, get yourself over to that desk. There's a console there you can plug into." But that's him assuming that he knows what she should be doing.
Okay. She yells back, "You do your job, I'll do mine." But as she's yelling that, she's running toward the console. She's kind of thinking too. She's looking for a place to slide into her deck, so that she can. I know Sharper wants to blow the elevator, but she wants to control the elevator so she can put everyone down without making a giant explosion yet.
Very good. So the guard who's already been hit by bullets, right? The guard who's already been hit by bullets, he gets knocked a bit farther because he's a little bit, less sturdy right now. His gun's gone flying. But this other guard that you managed to barrel down, he's had enough time to recover himself to raise his gun up. He's still shooting at you from the ground, but he's going to shoot at you, Bogey. So roll d6 plus 1 for damage there.
Ouch. 4 out of 5. Okay. And then how the trench coat just absorbs one of that?
Yeah, it's like a lined kind of armored trench coat then. Yeah, so that you subtract 1 from that.
Like it's armor rating 1, so okay.
Right. So I don't know what's going on for either Ace or Sharper. You're seeing this moment of hesitation kind of being taken advantage of by the guard. Ace, I'm not sure how well you're equipped to deal with the situation now that you've expended your payload. But Sharper, you have guns and swords. What do you think?
Stop it. Shoot the guy who's on the ground. Just
okay. I don't think he's really in a position where he can roll or dodge out of the way. So why don't you just
shoot him in the face where there's no armor just to make sure he gets, dosed.
Okay.
I also don't know if there's a cumulative effect over multiple rounds with this stuff, so I don't need to load him up. I'll just shoot him in the face and call it good.
Yeah, I'm not even going to call it a damage roll here. I think he's, had enough trials and tribulations to go through that he's ready for a nap.
How's the other guy doing?
He's crawling towards his gun. He is
Can I shoot one on the way to walking over and standing on the other guy's gun?
Repeat that one more time.
Can I shoot the one guard while I'm walking over to stand on the other guy's gun?
So you do that. And
say, I said, stop it. And sort of aim at his head.
He looks up at you and he says, "You don't know who you're dealing with. The Universal Brotherhood is no one to trifle with. We're going to..." Awesome. You got 3 tranquilized guards here. Do you... Cloud Kills, you're at the console. You're getting ready to hack into this elevator. Anyone else trying to tie him up? What do we think here? Ace, are you ready to swap in different arsenal?
I think this situation is foobar, so I'm just like, we've gone in loud, so I'm bringing in the big guns. Bring in the Doberman. So I think I'm gonna return. I'm basically while the other players are doing things, I'm basically returning the Hornet to myself, and I guess I'm up on the roof, so probably like the Doberman is just like driving down the stairs down to the ground floor, like going down the stairwell. Yeah.
There are some of these other guards that were up in the office, and I'm assuming you're not making any effort to do this quietly.
No, yeah, it's probably like at every floor landing, I'm just like go come down, and then when I stop the Doberman, and then just the minigun turret rotates towards the door, and just see if anybody shows up. If I don't see anyone, then I just down the next set of stairs. So
while this is going on, I'm like, Ace, you going to send down that combat drone? This would be probably a good moment for that. Ace? Ace.
On my way.
Ace. Okay. Just lost you for a minute there.
So none of those guards were brave enough to face down a minigun at the landing. You might have seen one dive for cover as soon as you turned the turret for you. But you have about, I guess that would be 6 more rent-a-cops who might be more aware of what's going on now, who are going to be following you down from upstairs. But you have a little bit of time before that happens. Yep, I'm glad to see we're keeping an eye on flags here, so keep that in mind. We'll kind of go over those at the end of the session too. But again, Ace, we're going a little bit loud here. I'd love to see that. So I'm going to keep that in mind.
A door.
So you've got a door, you said?
That's what we went with, the door. Go ahead and help him up if he isn't already on his feet.
Oh, okay.
You know,
I'm
it's
pushing myself up to my feet, but I'll take your hand and kind of, look down at, my side. Probably like pull away the armored coat where, it's popping off bullets and kind of feeling at the, bruised, cracked ribs underneath and shaking my head. And I say, we don't know who we're dealing with. I look down at the unconscious guard. I'm like, aren't we dealing with, people who hand out soup for a living? What the hell do they need this kind of stuff for?
Oh, I like doors. I think that's definitely slammed that situation.
So when you take a closer look at this guard, again, you see that these guards who are down here on the first floor, they seem to have some sort of maybe more cybernetic enhancements. This one has like a really broad chest, right? It could be like some subdermal plating or something like that to, give them some armor or something like that.
So did these guys have subdermal plating as well as body armor? Because I'm wearing like some of their body armor that was bigger.
That's what you remember that the uniforms they had were like tailored to be extra broad chests. You weren't sure if that was a stylistic choice or what.
Well, while we're swapping out drones and getting control of the elevator, let's go ahead and I got to think that Bogey, if you want to take a look at the lady behind the counter, why don't you go see if that's metal or magic? I'll take a look at these. Take a look at these guys.
And I want to look into that too, but I want to cut real quick to cloud kills because you've plugged into the console here, right? And I'm assuming Ace is sort of preparing a defensive, platform for you, so you don't have to worry about people coming in. Are you going classical keyboard, or have you stuck a data jack in here?
Yeah, so she's basically plugged her keyboard's plugged into her head, the data jack in her head, and it's also she's plugging it now with a spool that comes out of the keyboard into the console at the desk, basically. And as she's doing that, she says, "Ace, you got my back?"
And I say, you know it. I'm gonna keep that elevator covered. So yeah, I think it's like I have the drone set up just like outside the elevator doors where I have a clearer shot. So if they send someone up when the elevator comes up, they're just gonna get pulped by the minigun.
Cool. So we're talking here, you're operating the keyboard with your mind, but you're still looking at the monitor?
No, so she's like jacking into, basically she wants to be able to run what's going on in the building. So she's still like using her fingers on the keyboard, on the physical keyboard, and that controls what her avatar does in the Matrix, essentially.
Okay, so your perception is this virtual reality.
Yeah, so it's like popping into astral space. Her meat body is still there, but her mind is Matrix.
So I think before there's a program on the computer here that's going to let you spider this basically, right? That's going to let you kind of jack into the cameras and things like that. But there's sort of this landing home screen, so to speak, when you enter the virtual reality. Now you can always adjust this to your personal taste after you encounter this place, but when you first come into is basically a pure white expanse. Okay, this is probably a little strange. You're used to seeing at least a bare minimum of like a green grid on a black floor, We're talking, it's like you're in white nothingness. And that's what you see when you first jack in. And you can look and see, there's just little icons for list of contacts, telephone numbers, things like that you could use at the front desk that you might need. There's and then a program for operating the different parts of the building, but you're just floating here. Do you feel the need to change the environment to your personal specifications before you move on, or what?
Yeah, so I think the interface she usually uses, going along with her Cloud Kill's name, the interface she usually uses is like old school fantasy, kind of medieval fantasy D&D kind of stuff. So, like anything she might have to hack into might look like a old school castle kind of a thing.
Right.
A
So
West castle.
you come after you come into this white expanse, right? All of the tiles almost start to flip into this sort of fantastical thing, and the program for looking through the computer is now like a glass scrying ball, right? And then you have like a herald is standing there with the list of contacts. Are there any other details we see here in your personal virtual realm?
No, just that she's the cloud demon. That's what she kind of always looks like.
Very cool. So you're going to access that computer, huh?
Yeah. So while she's there, she's going to basically make a record of what phone numbers, any LTG numbers that they might have on speed dial, basically anything that she can gather from the Herald by hitting that, and then she's going to try to go in and gain control of the elevator.
Well, you're moving at the speed of thought here, right? So you're going to siege the castle, I'm guessing, as a way to get to that scrying ball. Is your program look like a flaming trebuchet or something to hack in, or what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I think a trebuchet is actually a pretty cool model, except instead of stones, massive ballista balls, it's throwing that like yellow-green cloud substance, trying to make it over the wall.
Cool. Roll, we'll say with intelligence for that, I would imagine, is if you're hacking.
Okay.
Or do you have a different feeling about the way that you hack?
No, I think that totally makes sense. Her intelligence is not great, but
cool. We'll come back to that result because I want to go back to what Bogey was doing here. You said you wanted to get a closer look at the guards you had encountered, or what were you doing there?
Yeah, like the first thing I'd probably do is like once I kind of clear my head, I remember like these guys each know what they're doing, so my shtick is magic and the info gathering. So I'm gonna swap over to just start looking around with my astral vision.
I was
not leaving my body or anything, but my original intent was to start tying these guys up or like throwing them into a room and locking the door behind them so that they can't get out to bother us. But when Sharper reminds me that there's the old lady behind the counter, that Judy, I'm gonna shake off the pain of the bullets and stump over to the desk by Cloud Kills to pick her up instead. And actually, while I'm there, maybe if she's got like a badge or something for swiping, I'll relieve her of it.
Okay. Did you have something you wanted to add, Sharper?
No, it's just that he's the most qualified to check to see whether she's got meat or magic or metal what's going on? Why is she throwing lightning? So I'm glad he's checking it out.
Right. So you're able to step like halfway into, you have 1 foot in both realms, so to speak, right now in both
Right.
layers. You can see now that Judy's unconscious, you're becoming more aware. You can see the connections between her aura and the auras of the guards. That there was a spell that she had placed to that was obfuscating their auras. So things now that they're unconscious, I think it still looks strange because they're, not dreaming or anything right now because they're so doped up. But so instead of it being like sort of like a blur or like a blurry photo, now it's like out of focus. And you're able to see just from the general landscape of the astral realm. You have like the dirt sort of stuff. You can't really see through that because it's sort of like living earth in a way. But beneath the floor below you is like a ward, which is like basically an astral force field. So you can't just like project down into the basement,
Right.
basically, and you can't really see into there either.
I feel like it's pretty common for corporations and stuff to do that, but I mean, like he keeps thinking of this place as a glorified soup kitchen. It seems like kind of a weird step for them to go to. Although they did mention that they recruit all sorts of folks and they're protecting their privacy, but still, he like makes mention, hey, whatever's below us, they've got a lot of mystical protection, prevent things from getting down there. It's kind of weird, and like as he says that, he kind of picks her up and places her back into a chair and, basically just pulls out like a roll of duct tape from one of his pockets and, secures her to it. But,
and just from your experience, right, as a PI, that, well, not as a PI, as a detective, cop, that like most office buildings, they hire wage mages to come and just like put up wards, just like they would otherwise do, to protect from secrecy and rogue spirits. This place, they didn't even put any up in the office floors. The only one they have is right here in the basement, which, yeah, that is a little odd for you. Did you want to try, now that Judy is like sitting here, are you going to like try to really push in and try to look at her aura more?
Yeah, I mean, like
intensely.
Like this place just seems like way more magical than what I would expect. I mean, like those goons coming after us had like fetishes on them. She, she's the receptionist, yet she's able to like cast spells. And usually, a place that has wizards or what have you, they're like the high muckety mucks, not like the person behind like the greeter's desk. So, I mean, like unless they have just an unusual amount of magical prowess floating around, it just seems odd to me that she would be here. So I want to check her out, see if she's still maintaining spells. Because I mean, once you're unconscious, that stuff should all go away.
You see the spells that she had used to cover the auras of her guards sort of shrink back into her body. You're able to tell that they are mundane and that they don't have any cybernetic implants. Those sort of broad chests and kind of odd shapes that they have under their clothes are biological in nature. Not able to tell much else. You're able to tell that Judy is indeed awakened.
Okay.
I think if you want to learn anything more, you're going to have to eat a fairy.
Okay.
I'm assuming you only have like 2 fairies.
Right. And I'll mention to Sharper, since like we've both noted the dermal plating. I'm like, wait, those guys aren't trolls or something, right? They're way too small, but they're planing. That's au natural. It ain't anything cyber. They're all there. It's weird. And I kind of look at her and I'm kind of trying to like figure out my plan as like the others are doing what they're going to be doing. You know, and my hand kind of like goes down to an inside pocket and I pull out the drug and I kind of look down at it, and I'll leave it there, like trying to decide if I'm going to shove it in my face to give others a chance to finish what they're doing.
So let's cut back then to Cloud Kills, if you're with us, Steven. Do we know the result we got for her hacking roll?
Yep, got an 8.
Okay. So you're going to be able to get into the system here. But I think that your program, right, you kind of have to, it's almost like a bit of a blunt force attack, right? So you're going to take a little bit of neural feedback when you do that. So go ahead and roll a d6 for damage. That's representing like mental damage. You might be getting a nosebleed or something like that, right? But
Okay, got a 2. I think, yeah, 2.
You have access to the same cameras that were upstairs. You see that there still aren't any cameras in the basement. I mean, you're able to tell from the electronics and wiring. You see maybe like some doors you could open and close, but there's no cameras. So you don't know where these doors are physically, but you know that they're there. I'm imagining this is like when you're looking through this like Saruman looking scrying thing, like the presence is known to you, but you don't know where they're located. Right there, they're somewhere in the dungeon. Right, it's beneath the castle, and there you have access to that elevator door that would require a key card, which you could probably get from Judy, but you still have access to that as well. And the locks on the front doors and all that stuff if you ever wanted to do anything there.
Okay, so I'm going to slam all the locks on every exterior door shut.
There already are, so you're good.
Okay, and then I'm going to open the elevator door with a ding.
What about those guards who are coming from the upper floors? Do you want to do something to them?
Yeah, so they're coming down a separate stairway, right? They're not coming down the elevator, is that right?
Yeah, it sounds well. Actually, so there is a second elevator that's used just for the office floors. I think that they might all have crowded into that elevator because they didn't want to follow the minigun drone down the stairs.
Okay. Ace, I thought the drone was pointed at the elevator. Is that not right?
That was the plan. So yeah, if we're just sort of retconning in this office elevator, yeah, it's probably like I see the like indicator at the top of the elevator door, like moving down floors and stopping at floors and then moving down, and I just like have positioned my drone in front of the door, and I have you can hear like a little whir as like the brakes on the drone engage, and it's like before the elevator even reaches this floor where it's just like the light is in between floors, I'm already spinning up the minigun, and I'm just like, time for the welcoming party.
Terrible move. Yeah, so I think right before she opens that door, then she's gonna say, you know, through her meat body, "You ready, Ace?"
You bet.
Okay, then she's gonna ding the door open.
Okay, so I think we all kind of know what's going to happen here. And I will say, you know, in terms of retconning and stuff, I think it would have been less bumpy for the Doberman to go down the elevator, but I think it was probably closed because of the fire that was set in the bathroom. But now, thanks to, you know, Cloud Kill's control of the system, that can be changed. I don't think all of the guards managed to pile in. I think maybe they were planning to, they're doing more, but then the doors start to close, and like, so half of them are in there, and they're like pressing the buttons. You know, you can see in the camera of them pressing the buttons, and ding, do you shred them all to bits, or
yeah, it's just like yeah, as soon as the door, like we probably just see the camera from inside the elevator, and then the doors open, and you see the guards' faces, and they all go white. And it's just the cannon, the minigun's already spun up, and you just hear this like, and there's just like tons of hot shell casings going flying out of the top of the thing, and there's like steam coming out of like the recoil compensator, and you just like probably we get like the surveillance video of the elevator, and you just see like these people in this elevator shaft, in this elevator box, just all turn to pulp, and it's just like there's like a red mist that covers the surveillance camera.
It's pretty gruesome. Depending on if this film is put on television or if you have the Blu-ray, it depends on which version of the CD.
And you see afterwards that like the back of the elevator itself is just like all bent up, and there's like slag kind of like falling to the ground. You can see the shaft exposed at the back of it.
Right. Okay. So there's 4 guards down. if you're worried about that.
I think Cloudkill says, just like the Crimson Files, right, Sharper? All right, all aboard.
All aboard, the classic catchphrase.
Does that mean the elevator to downstairs is up?
So that you still have access to that as well. That's not the one that got shot up.
Yeah, it's a separate elevator. Yeah,
I know, but I'm less worried about those guards. I'm more worried about let's go downstairs. Ideally, as quickly as we can manage.
Okay. Is that the plan now? Are we all having the elevator scene? Ding, 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 ding.
And I think I just say, having pulled this maneuver on these guards, just wanted to suggest that we don't make the same entry.
I think we're well served by sending the Doberman down the shaft first. I can stay on the roof, and the rest of you can go through the door.
Sounds good to me.
Oh, okay. So you're going to climb onto the roof of the elevator while it goes down.
And we're going to send the Doberman down the shaft before the elevator goes.
Okay. So, Cloudkills, are you going with them physically then? Have you just kind of unlocked the elevator, so to speak?
Yeah, mostly because I don't really want to be left behind where I am. So I'm going to unplug and then accompany the rest of them.
You know what? Before she does, I say, like, hey, could you look for a couple of people? I mean, I thought that there'd be more people up here, but it's all office space. I'm looking for, and I rattle off some names. It's weird that we haven't run into anybody other than, clerical staff.
Oh, some like rent-a-cops you might have known, right?
Yeah, right. Or well, no, just the people who I had said before I was looking for. Like, is there any record of them in their administrative system?
Okay.
Yeah, give me just a sec. So she'll check in the scrying ball.
You can cross-reference that really easy. And what's great is since you have, since you're such a hot shit hacker, you don't have to worry about leaving a trace here. So I think when you do jack out, you don't have to worry about any nasty low jack programs being left on your deck. You always wear protection. So I think you can cross-reference, and the names you see listed in this computer, again, they try to keep their kind of privacy about the names of their members. So they don't really have a list of names of members. It's more of people that they can contact. So like janitorial services, catering places, things like that. So you don't really have any information on the clientele, so to speak, at this console.
Okay. No, sorry, I got nothing. And as she's saying that, she's wrapping up her cord.
Okay.
So, go ahead.
What's the situation with the receptionist? Cybers, witchcraft, what do we got?
She's awake and she's definitely a spellcaster.
You sure?
Yeah. I mean, look, man, I've examined enough people to be able to tell when somebody's awakened versus just channeling somebody else. I mean, there's no one riding her. There's no spells on her. She was the one throwing all that juice out.
Good work.
And you can see, she does have like a little power focus type thing. This is a common thing for mages to have. It's an object talisman that helps amplify her powers. It's in the shape of like, I think it's like a little brooch, like an ant shape thing, like a little bug, jeweled bug. There are many varied traditions of magic and religion and spirituality in the Shadowrun universe. So, unless have you studied magic as part of being a magic detective? Are you aware of different?
I think so, just because, like, going up against anybody, I need to be aware of, like, what kind of stuff they might be bringing to bear against me.
Sure. So I would say I'm not going to put this to a roll. You just kind of consider your wealth of knowledge about the various magical traditions you've come across. Voodoo, Buddhism, Neo, Catholic magic, whatever, right? You can't think of anything. Nothing really comes to mind about anyone that worships like ants or anything like that. You're aware of like spiders is sort of a thing in some African traditions and things like that, but you don't really remember ants unless this is a spider that looks like an ant. You're not really sure. So it's probably like a personal thing for her. She must have some personal connection to that.
Okay. In that case, just because I don't want to have to deal with her being, wacky, I'm going to try and I'm just going to yank it off so that it, doesn't maintain its boosting connection to her. Cover up her eyes because she can't target with spells what she can't see.
So I think that this.
And then I was going to wheel her onto the elevator right in front of the Doberman.
Okay, I love that idea. But I will say you can remove this talisman from her, but I don't think that necessarily breaks her connection to it.
Okay.
So she could still theoretically draw on its power. Is that what you want to try to destroy it? Or?
Well, I just know there's an aftermarket for that stuff, so
okay.
what I think about is this. I was actually thinking of, instead of giving myself the fairy, was thinking about jamming it into her mouth and seeing her overload.
We'll think about that for a second. I do just want to say, Kyle, sorry you have to leave, but it was great playing with you, and we will definitely automate your drone and shoot lots of people on your behalf.
Good. Happy hunting.
All right. Sounds good. Okay, so you're wanting to give the enemy wizard a powerful drug that will make her more powerful.
No, it's more like I want her to OD, but I mean, like, I don't even want to wake her up yet. I want to, like, have her in front of the thing, because if the door's open and something, crazy is coming at us, she's the target there.
Okay.
I don't want her to be awake for that. I just want to... What's that?
Think it'll make her like more of a target or something?
Oops. Sorry. Basically, when the door's open, if they're getting ready to gun down whatever's in the elevator, she's there first. Okay. And I know that if they end up taking her out, then her connection to this thing is done. But right. If not, I can deal with her after the fact.
Cool.
Where are you going with the witch?
I'm just putting her in front of the thing. I'd like to ask her some questions if we get to that point. I mean, there's no one up here. I'm assuming they're downstairs, but I mean, this whole setup's kind of weird.
Here's the thing. We've managed to disable her, but if we take her downstairs, it's possible that she could be recovered by whatever we're facing. They could detox her, and we could have to fight her again. I'd rather not do that. If it comes down to it, I would rather execute her and leave her here.
I don't know about that. I mean, let's find out what we're dealing with before we just summarily judge people. I mean, we could have just locked that elevator instead of like blowing them all to Kingdom Come. Let's minimize our casualties.
Well, I don't
Is
know
this
that.
a-
I don't know how big
Is this
the
a
compound.
technique? Is this a
Say what?
technique you've used in the past?
What?
Bogey is like part of your hostage negotiation or something like that. Is this coming from your cop experience? Do you think this is a good idea?
No, it's more like I knew we were going downstairs and I wanted to be able to interrogate her, but basically all 4 people up here were knocked out before we had a chance. And I didn't know that it would necessarily be useful to leave her behind, but what he says makes sense.
If you can
I was
relate
more
that to
thinking
a
like,
past experience, you can hit your trigger though.
yeah,
Well, I was seeing here, we have an opportunity to hit one of 2 flags. We can go with sharper questions your thought, and you
Right.
back it up with your past experience. Or sharper questions your thought, and you kind of listen to his thinking for particular.
no, and that's I think more what I'm doing. Like I had an idea, but Sharper's right about this one. It's better to leave her behind.
Really bring that home, Sharper. Can you offer a bit of Zen Bushido advice that kind of cements why your thinking here is correct?
The thing is, if we have set our minds to a course that we wish to accomplish, then it's in our best interest, just as a pragmatic affair, to leave nothing behind that is going to counter that. However, if we think that there is a situation where she is not a villain, then it does make sense to be benevolent, in which case, hoisting her up in front of the machine guns, not a good idea in that case. If
Yeah.
you think that she deserves the benefit of the doubt, my recommendation is we assure her lack of consciousness and secure her up here. Then we have another chance to make a decision. But the only way that we take her downstairs, in my opinion, is if she's dead first. Because if the enemy can recover her, then we may have a fight with a mage on our hands, who has reason to be upset.
No, I agree. If we need to talk to her, we can leave her up here. If we need to deal with her, we can deal with her on the way out while she's still unconscious.
So, we'll do that.
So we have
do
a
you have any
lovely
sense of what her tolerance is?
I can't imagine that she's waking up anytime soon. I point to the several darts that haven't, it's not like anybody's taking them out of her. She's just sitting in the chair with like 7 darts stuck in her.
Yeah,
Her
kind of
chest.
marinating.
Yeah.
Well, better safe. Pop another 3 into her and let's go.
Oh, geez. Well, that's fine. So we have this lovely sort of shot where we have the elevator, and we have Bramba and Bogey sort of behind one side, and Cloud Kills, you're around the other side of the door. You have your nice drone planted right there in the front, and as the camera kind of sees the elevator go down, you have Sharper sort of squatting on top with his sword. Unless you change your mind on that, Sharper.
No, but did we send the Doberman down the shaft first? Like have the elevator go up like another foot so the Doberman can get down under it?
Oh, okay. I was thinking it was like you're standing behind the walls where the buttons are.
I was thinking the Doberman gets to the bottom of the elevator shaft first and kind of secures the landing before we...
Oh, it just drops down onto the...
Or down the walls or, whatever is possible for the drone. But I was just thinking one way or another, if the Doberman heads down, I don't know what its wall crawling capabilities are. Or if it just wants to flip upside down and connect to the underside of the elevator, and then the doors open and he goes shooting out before it goes down far enough for us to get hurt.
I think that one sounds the coolest.
Yeah.
So if we can move the elevator up a couple feet, flip the Doberman upside down, attach it to the underside, and then go down. Everybody gets in, go down some more. I get in on top. Then the whole thing goes.
Perfect. Well, that all happens.
A death sandwich.
You have your death sandwich prepared. The Doberman goes down into this ground floor. And I think Sharper, you're also kind of sharing, or not Sharper, Cloud Kills, you're kind of sharing some of this. You all have eyes on this in one way or another. you can see it through your deck screen or something like that. Cloud kills. For Bogey, this is like a little overlay on your cyber eyes, right? So you're all getting the eyes in when this first happens. And the doors open, and you're in a basement floor. This is all wood paneled floor, very elegant, like mahogany or something like that. Walls are sort of like this, like dark brown stucco, right? Like a very upper class, high scale treatment on the walls, right? And the lights in here, there's no obvious like ceiling lights or sconces, so this must be some like very high end like recessed lighting or something. But it's casting everything in like a warm red glow. It's not like a white light, so it's like just a red glow in here. But you don't see any targets. It's moderately dark, but even with access to like a night vision infrared camera, you just see an empty. I think there's like a hallway, and then there's like a couple branches off, but that's what you see. Doberman drops out. I'm guessing it goes forward and checks out these branching hallways. You see some doors. Looks like you have about 4 cubicle-shaped rooms, and that's basically comprising the entire basement. 4 cube rooms. They each have these like doors that are like dark black wood on the doors with like a gold inlay. So, what's your approach there?
I'm curious, do the decorations have any arcane significance, seeing as they've got other stuff going on? I mean, I kind of expected some sort of defense down here, and the door opens and there's nothing, So I'm just wondering if there's something that we're not seeing here.
Wards on all the doors, but no stylistically like runic things or anything. Looks more like a boardroom.
Okay, so I'll say, you know what? It's not just the basement. Each of these rooms is individually warded as well. Whatever's in there, they just really want to make sure that people have their privacy. So let's bust down one of those doors.
Let's let the drone bust down one of those doors.
Yeah, let's all get out of the elevator. And is there an opportunity to look around for those who have enhanced senses to see if there's like either metal or magic that is affecting our perceptions?
Yeah, there's no illusion spell currently being cast. The walls here are reinforced with concrete and steel, and I think it has material in there that would block infrared scanners, so you don't have any X-ray capabilities sort of stuff going on here. You just kind of have 4 cubes.
I figure I have
no like signs above the doors that says this is room A or room B or whatever. There's nothing signifying what the purpose of any of these rooms is.
I hadn't switched out of astrally perceiving. I just figure that I'm, doing that because that's going to be my job for the moment.
Sure. I think that would only be tricky if you were like trying to aim or shoot or something.
Right. Which, I mean, I can switch back if necessary, but for right now, I just want to be aware of what's coming toward us. Yeah. If there's something I need to warn them about.
I think at this point, because this is kind of odd, Cloudkill slings her deck on a strap, and so she's leading out in front of her. One hand is holding the Uzi, and the other hand now is holding that mini cam.
Okay.
So now she's filming.
So basically, I'm thinking here we're probably going to end up going into these rooms at random. So I'm going to roll the die of fate. A high result is going to be a room with like less opposition or more value to you. A middle result will be a room that's either valuable or low opposition, and low result's going to be big opposition. So yeah, how do you pick which room? I'm curious.
Ancient wisdom
First
says
one.
always go left.
Okay, let me roll the die of fate here. Ooh, a 2. Okay. I'm going to call this a middle result so that nothing bad happens right off the bat. Doberman shoots down the door, kicks down the door, like rams the door. What do you think?
I think he probably rams it.
Okay. Knocks down the door, drives in. This is a storage room. There's lots of shelving, boxes, things like that. Bogey, you're pretty sure that this is the place where all of the goods and things like that, probably where you're going to find the necklace, probably where you're going to find other people's property. That's all in here.
I'll say as much.
As the door is broken down, you're able to step through. You wouldn't be able to see through it astrally. It'd be kind of looking at like a plasma wall, basically. So you would have to, if you wanted to see what was behind the door, you would be in regular vision, right? So what you all see and what you catch on your camera as this drone drives through the door is two gigantic ants, actual insects, about the size of like a small donkey. These are legit bugs. Wow. What happens? What do you think?
I'm
What are
gonna
your
fill
reactions
one
to
of
that?
those compound eyes with tranks.
That's just your first reaction? You see a gigantic bug and you're like, shoot it? Well, Sharper's he's got nerves of steel. I think he could do that. But let me ask you something. Do you have wired reflexes?
Sharper used to have wired everything. He also used to be able to go through the whole night without getting up to go to the bathroom. But time and surgery has undone some of these things.
Fair enough. Okay. So as much as I hate initiative systems, these bugs move fast. The door comes down and they're steering almost quicker than you try and get up to bear. And you had it at your shoulder ready, right? I think just in order for you to like even pull this trigger and get a shot done at these guys, you're gonna need to roll quickness to see if you can react quickly enough.
I got a 6.
Okay. Yeah. Looking at your skills, unless you think athletics applies here, I don't know if that's really the same.
Now, athletics is more about running, jumping, climbing trees, right?
Yeah.
And this is more about quick draw. So, no. I don't know that there is a skill that governs this.
So I think one of these ants, it just like climbs right over that Doberman drone before it even has a chance to spin up its minigun. And it is going to come down at you, and it's coming at you, and you can see it's got these mandibles that are, before I don't know if you've ever even looked at an ant under a microscope before or a magnifying glass, but seeing it in person, these are things that are going to be able to cut your head off. I think you'll be able to get off your tranquilizer gun because now it's right on top of you and it's got nowhere else to be. So first, I want you to roll your damage for the trank gun.
So I rolled a 4 on 1d6. Is that +2, you said?
Yes.
So that'd be a 6.
Okay. Cool. You see the trank darts sort of like stick into its exoskeleton, right?
That's why I was aiming for the eye. Yeah.
If you could have gotten to the eye, that would have been nice. But it's kind of just right into the underbelly. So they stick in there. But this thing is kind of getting ready to cut off your head. Cloud kills. You're getting this all on camera. And your buddy's about to be chewed on. What are you doing here?
So I think Cloud Kills, when she sees these things, just kind of screams Drek, and then she like stumbles backwards, and more out of reflex than anything else. Like both of her fingers actually tighten up, and one happens to be on the Ingram. So she's going to fire off a burst. I think she's going to fire off a burst at the one that's like running onto the top of Sharper, but it's as reflexive as anything else.
Interesting. So I think you do that, and the bullets just like glance off its exoskeleton, right?
I don't think she even hits it necessarily. She might put a whole like burst into the ceiling or something.
I think you do hit it, right? Accidentally, right? The sort of spree, but the bullets just bounce right off, which is kind of odd because it did get stuck with tranquilizers pretty easily. So that's interesting. You still have a grip on your camera, or is this falling down to the ground like bad movie?
I think I think in terms of, or in typical, holy shit, there's something terrible fashion, the camera falls on its side and now is recording, just basically half of the floor.
Okay, how about you, Bogey?
The first thing is he's taken aback, but then between the focus that the woman had above and now we're seeing all this stuff, their little, fetish, as in like actual like obsession, is starting to make sense. The part of his mind that like always goes back to business is just trying to like go through, does he like, there's all sorts of awakened creatures and whatnot, but does he know anything about like giant insects? I mean, people never use this kind of stuff as security, so this is either like custom bred or these things are, he's never seen this stuff before. He's just trying to figure out, like, is this, I don't want to say is this natural, because this obviously seems like crazy weird,
but is this something that's been made in the lab?
Right, exactly. Or is it something that, has been like brought in? They're moving so fast. Are these things actually here, or are they like, magically, like some creatures have the equivalent of wired reflexes or, whatever enhancement that like being in a magically active age, gives them. And obviously these things are already weird since they're gigantic.
Well, you're wrecking your brain about that, right? I'm going to say that you're familiar with some awakened, or not awakened, but so like some magical critters that have been active before, or certain like bioengineered insects that have been used before, but they've always been either small or engineered to work as a swarm. Nothing that large. But, this is a very fast creature.
Right.
And you've been just kind of parsing this out and thinking. Sharper, this thing is on top of you. If you don't get its jaw away from you, it's going to bite your head off. You're on your own here. How are you dealing with this?
The Aijitsu duel is where two masters stand until one of them makes the first move. Both draw their swords.
Okay.
Or both of them die. And so basically my thought here is my odds of dodging are about as good as my knees, which is not so great. But what I have been doing my entire life is pulling out my sword and putting it through something about the thickness of its arm at point blank range in half a second. And I'm going to do that. I'm just going to lop its head clean off before it can bite me.
This is very good. I think that what you're doing here comes from a place of personal confidence and dedication, and you're using a weapon that is very personal to you, right? But
Yep.
here's the thing. When you attack this spirit, this isn't like a matter of like agility or dexterity or training from AI jutsu. It is almost like your ego that's coming into play here. So when you engage in this duel with an ant, I want you to roll with charisma.
Okay. All right. Also, one of the great things about Sharper here is he has Cyber Bushido, which is +1 to hit and damage with his Daisho.
Sure.
So since I'm using the big one, if I hit, that'll be nice.
Yeah.
So let's see, that's 2d6. All right. So that's a 2 and a 3, so that's 5. So that's because he's using it two-handed. Let's see. That's a 6 because he's +1 to hit. Is that enough?
Nice.
And I'm +3 damage if I do hit.
So, yeah. You said you got an 8, right? I'm
6.
sorry. Oh, you just got a 6 on the roll for
Yeah.
your charisma. That is not enough.
Oh, that's +2.
Oh, +2. So it
that
is an 8.
Yes, sorry.
Whew. I was like, you're about to get your head chopped off, buddy.
Yeah.
No, okay. So just like in that Aijutsu do. It's
Oh,
the
no.
sort of thing.
No, that was a 3 and a 2, so that's a 5. +1 for, so that takes it to a 6.
And then 2 more from charisma.
Okay.
It's 8. Okay. Just like in that duel, there's
Maths.
there's that moment where the two swordsmen sort of like
Right.
clash, and then no one's really certain what happens. Right. I think that this bug does kind of get its sharp mandibles on you as you separate. We've kind of established how much damage you've done. We see one of these bugs' forearms, of which it has 6, kind of lops off, and like acid blood like sprays out. It's like screaming this horrendous bone-chilling scream that you all feel like in your spirit. You're going to take some damage too, though. So you're going to roll 1d6 +2 for the damage you take.
Okay. I rolled a 1.
Nice.
And I have dermal plating plus armor, so I take 1.
Okay.
Nice.
So what does that look like when did you just like not get a good purchase on you?
Well, if it has acid blood, that means it goes for me, but the process of drawing and pivoting bypasses the head, goes straight through the neck stump, and he just gets hosed with a little acid blood on the way by.
Okay, which you were
so it hits him in the chest and shoulder, but it seeps into the armpit is where the burning is.
Yes. Okay. So for a moment, this one insect is reeling, but the other ant has now cleared the door and is crawling out. Who's reacting to that first?
I think that
shooting again, Bogey, as the sound of bullets and combat brought you back into combat mode. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, no, I think as I see it, like, the one nearly like eviscerating one of my compatriots and the other one now threatening the other, I jump forward and I think the first thing, it seems like their instinct is to sort of like latch down and bring those mandibles down. So I think I'm just going to try to use my size and the fact that it's so big. Like, as it comes for me, I'm gonna like actually go toward it, trying to stick my hand right in its face, and then just like unload from my palm like into its open mouth as I dive underneath it.
Cool. I want you to roll plus charisma again for this.
Okay. And I mean, like, am I with my senses up? Am I like feeling that this is not the same as like fighting a?
So now that they're at the door, have you turned your astral vision back on?
Yeah.
This is not just a bug.
Okay.
This is a spirit. This is a being that exists both on the astral plane and in the physical plane. This is a spirit in the shape of a bug. Now, you've heard of nature spirits. You've heard of wolves and, hawks and ravens and eagles and even dragons and snakes, but you haven't seen an insect spirit yet.
And that seems innately unsettling.
So go ahead and roll charisma. We'll cut back to that result. Cloud kills. Actions happening. What are you retrieving your camera? Are you shooting again?
So from my perspective, like it seems like Bogey would be blocking a lot of my target where I'd try to shoot. Is that right?
Not really. He's short.
Well, and his goal was to basically stick his hand in his face as he sort of like tumbled underneath it.
Okay.
So it's going over him as he, does his thing.
So I think now like she's sort of like fallen back and taken a knee, but she's going to properly brace the warrior and fire off a burst at that one that's on top of Bogey.
So a little bit more determination here then.
Yeah, she doesn't know what they are, but at this point she just realizes that it's something dangerous that needs to get shot.
Okay. You're going to roll plus charisma too. Now, before we look at these results, I do want to point out we're 3 hours in. Initially, I set up the event to go on for about 3 hours. I know for some of you it's very late. I know for some of you have very accommodating wives at home who are allowing this. Wanted to check in with you guys about how you feel about continuing the session on until the end here, maybe another half hour, or do you want to leave things again and pick up with the 3 cubic rooms left in next week?
I mean, I feel that that's where it would be helpful to have some guidance, because if it's a half an hour, I can do a half an hour. If it's 3 more rooms, and that's enough to like do another half a session, then I feel we should wait.
The other rooms wouldn't necessarily be exciting. I can definitely say half an hour. Let's frame this in a way where we get that done.
Yeah, I can do half an hour.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm good for half an hour.
Sounds good. You both are shooting, one with your cool cyber arm, which is very personal to you because it's part of your body. You've taken a knee. You've taken consideration into this shot. This is no longer a wild spray. What did we get?
Cloudkill's got an 11.
Okay, good.
I've got a total of 7, but as I realize that these are spirits and I realize why it's taking us these sort of steps to do something, I will, tell these guys, these things are not just, creatures. They are, they're spirits. They're from the astral realm.
And you know that the real way to kill a spirit isn't necessarily by bullets. It's your killing intent is what is damaging to spirits. You can still poke them with swords and their limbs fall off and whatnot. But it comes more from your sense of resolve or your lightning bolt spell because they're magical too. So you're able to deliver that information. You're able to get off a cool sliding shot with your cyber arm. as is Cloud Kills. So I want both of you to roll d6 plus charisma modifier damage, basically. And Cloud Kills, were you aiming at you said you're aiming at the one that Bogey slid under, or were you aiming at the one that attacked Sharper?
No, she's aiming at the one Bogey slid under.
Okay. So your damage is gonna accumulate here.
Okay, well, I rolled a 6 plus 1, so 7.
Great.
Do you want me to add in my damage modifier? My normal damage modifier?
So basically, whatever your charisma modifier is going to be the modifier to your damage roll.
Okay, so 4 total.
Okay, so I'm going to lump those together in terms of dealing with armor because you're shooting simultaneously, which would be a total of 10. Your killing intent is enough to disrupt this spirit. And again, this acid blood sprays out. This chilling scream is heard. You're thinking it's enough to get through those walls, right? And I would even say, Sharper, you have enough time if you wanted to get up and decapitate that other ant if you wanted to.
Sure. Yeah. Basically, so yeah, is the first one is dead, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So for the second one, just kind of move in, and I have prepared for death, and it has not. So I will introduce it to something it is unprepared to deal with.
Very cool.
Okay, that's. I'll take this 2 and this 1 and re-roll them to a 6 and a 5. So that's 12.
Okay.
You want me to roll damage?
No, that's cool. You definitely kill it. In the interest of time, I'll say. And again, in the interest of time, I looked at Tejas or Bogey's health here. I want you to take 1d6 plus 2 damage from the spray of acid blood as you slide underneath this thing and are very close to its spiritual biology. But you're here in the storage room. You can rifle through. You can eventually find blood, the unique piece of jewelry you were initially hired to find, along with some of the other personal effects of Victoria, right? Her, maybe like a picture of her with her family when she looks very young, right? Minor things. How much time are you spending looting this room, knowing that Anna and Victoria are somewhere in here?
I would say, unless the others interject, we spend no time in here. We can come back to it. Let's find the others.
Before we move on, what can we do to mitigate loss of hit points? I kind of did my best to get equipment that could help us do that. I don't know how it works, but if we could at least rest and get at least 1 hit point back, maybe more.
I would say basically you each have 1 use of a trauma patch or stim patch, and it's going to heal 1d6 health.
Okay.
While we're... Oh, go ahead. Sorry, do you have something else, Andrew?
No, knowing that is good. I'm 3 hit points down, so I think I'll save it. But how is... Because didn't Bogey get hit? I don't know how hard Bogey got hit.
I rolled a 2 plus 2 is 4 minus 1 for my trench coat. If that hits, I'm down to 4.
Because I recommend you take one because you got hit earlier, didn't you?
Yeah, I was down to 7 before, and now I'm down to 4. Yeah. Which, the thing is, he says, we'll deal with that in a second. Let's find these people. We can patch up when we're out.
We'll look around in this room while you're taking care of yourself. We've got to make sure that we get our whatever equipment we can. It'll just take a minute.
So
You
while
are too heavy to carry out bed. Turn around and start looking through stuff.
while Sharper's rifling through stuff, Cloud Kills is going to go back and grab her camera. What happens to the bodies? Like, do they dissolve, or like what happens to the remains?
I think they sort of ooze this like green acidic blood, and the exoskeletons do sort of remain, almost just like just their chitin, like the plating lies here.
Okay.
The astral, though, the spirit's gone. It's just the husk, basically.
Okay, so Cloud Kills is going to go and pick up her camera and check it really quickly to make sure that like it's recording and everything looks good on it. And she's going to say into it, "This is Cloud Kills reporting for Illuminate the Illuminati. We've just been attacked by two almost indescribable beings. They look almost insectile." And as she's saying that, she's going to pan across those bodies, do really nice tight close-ups across the remains, fully lit, so it doesn't look like, you know, fuzzy Loch Ness type shots or anything like that.
You get a good shot on these things, man.
Yeah, and while Sharper's
this
doing all
is
that,
not some
she's
X-Files stuff, right? This is it.
she's not gonna. She doesn't pay any attention at all to really what's in the storage room. She's just taking shots of the bodies.
Sharper,
Cloud
you
Kills,
are.
you know, if you take one of those skulls out with you, that'll be irreversible proof.
The
Ooh,
skull
should
is.
I? Do you think I should?
It's about like this big, I would say. So,
Maybe just a mandible.
Bogey, do you think these are still tainted? Is there anything wrong with them? Is it going to give me anything?
I don't think anything would happen to you, but I wouldn't touch Mother. This whole area has some sort of stink about it. It's just not natural. There's not this kind of magic that's out there normally. I mean, I don't know why it's here.
Yeah, you're probably right. But while she's saying that, she's going to break an antenna off and stick it in her cargo pocket.
So you're feeling that that ickiness now, right? Almost like now that this door is open, it's something that clinks. It's almost like if you were like in a really polluted area, you know, you feel that. In Shadowrun, we call this background count, right? So this is sort of messing with your magical ability, but you don't really have a lot of that to begin with, so you're still able to perceive things astrally, but it doesn't feel good to do it. Sharper, you are able to find blood without too much difficulty. You can find it's a ruby necklace, right? You see it has like a special insignia from the designer, one of a kind. Probably be pretty hard to fence, but you have it. Do you spend a lot more time looting for other stuff? I imagine you kind of had your one thing in mind. Okay.
I want that, but that's not the most important thing we're here for.
You got some other stuff to think about, and you do have a timetable, probably. Certainly one that you're not aware of, at the very least. Okay. You go into another room. This is...
How's our drone? Is he okay?
I'm going to say that the drone was damaged. Its movement systems, while this bug sort of crashed over it, so it's not really able to move around. I think that Ace has come back with the Hornet and is sort of with you as eyes, but he can't unfortunately use his drone right now. So one of these rooms you go into has information on clients. It's the computer and server room with confidential information. You're able to download all of that information, Cloud Kills, if you ever need it. You go into another room. It's a shrine. You can tell that this is the magical lodge, so to speak, that belongs to Judy. You see some personal effects, some jewelry that's similar to that ant totem that you'd found before. Some things are maybe kind of clicking together here. You almost get this feeling that she's like a shaman that venerates like an ant as a totem. But again, you've heard of people who talk to dog, right? And people who talk to snake, but you've never heard people who talk to ant. Like that just doesn't make sense.
I mean, I would definitely get the feeling that that's just like not even. I mean, that's just like alien, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just not natural. Like dog and cat and all that stuff, that would be something that at least makes sense within the context of the world, but this does not.
Yeah.
Kills. What do you think are the odds this is going to turn out to be benevolent in room 4?
Not great, I would have to say. I'm looking forward to making a nice big explosion to this whole place. What do you think?
He just claps her on the shoulder gently and nods, gives her a little squeeze, and lets go, because every time you lose that one more scrap of innocence, it hurts.
So, room 4, no minigun. How do you open this one? You could spin the gun with your hand. No whammies, no whammies, no whammies.
I don't think that works.
I mean, are these actually locked? Is there like a knob, or are these all like passkey? Because if they're just passkey, I'll use that one that I took off of Judy and swipe it in front of the door.
Cloud Kills was able to unlock them all from us previously. So,
and also, before we open this last one, let's go ahead and attach the necklace and the data file to the Hornet and send it out.
Yeah.
That way, even if we go down, there's evidence. And as far as going in, I have already decided that I'm going to kill what's behind this door. So I'll walk in.
I was going to say, and I say this to them, like, Victoria and the others either have to be here or not at this facility.
I also give the trank gun to Cloud Kills. Right?
Okay. So she checks the chamber and makes sure.
If it turns out that we can save the people we're here to save, trank them up. And we can carry them out. But, it's time for me to have the big boy sword.
Yeah, you got it, Sharper.
I have rolled the die of fate. And you are all very fortunate because I got a 6. So that means what you face here is the best possible outcome, all things considered. Steel yourselves, right? I don't think that this is difficult for Sharper to do. This could be the death he's been anticipating, but death is behind this door for him or for someone else. Cloud Kills, do you have a very steady hand on the camera? Is it shaking? What do we see from you?
No, I think by this point she's sort of steadied herself. She's seen enough weird down here that she's ready to do the job.
Yeah. And Bramba looks to you, Bogey, and he says, Let's save Victoria.
I nod to him and say, well, let's see what there is to save.
Door opens, gets kicked down, however. The room you're in now does not have stucco walls or hardwood flooring. It has a material that appears waxy, appears kind of fleshy, almost biological. There's a smell emanating from the room. It's very familiar. Can't really quite place your finger on it, but it almost smells like yeast or like moist bread or something like that. And there are 3 sacks on the ground that look almost like cocoons. And there are forms that are writhing within. There are 2 hideous half-bug, half-man monstrosities. We're talking humanoid arms, but like an ant head, or one has a human head but has ant arms, right? And they're attending to the supine, reclined form of an ant queen. Okay, and she has almost looks humanoid in the shape, right? Except for the joints on her arms, right? And the chitin. She has this big, bloated form right in front of her between her legs that's kind of housing another cocoon, and you can see another form is being birthed out of its canal. It's all very gross. Okay, who deals death first?
I'm gonna 300 it right in the face.
Just straight up kick it in the face?
No, just like
Or,
run, jump up the thing, run up the squishy thing, go airborne, and two-handed strike in the face
okay.
with the
So
monofilament blade.
you springboard off of the
I do have athletics.
birthing torso or whatever of the thorax of this ant, and the other abominations kind of turn and watch as you like gloriously go for a strike. I still think that this is all about like this is the street samurai sharper. You know, this whole action of this is like muscle memory. This is all part of your spirit, your confidence.
And some part of him is wondering what the hell he did in the last 30 years that this is not freaking him out.
And he is rolling plus charisma.
All right. All right, so I'm going to grab that 3 and grab that 5. Reroll them to a 1 and a 4. Okay, so that's 5. I can add 1 for Bushido, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's 6. That's 8.
Oh man, I thought you hadn't factored your charisma into that. I was like, oh
No.
man, you failed the biggest roll. You dig your sword into the neck of this creature, right? You just missed the skull as she shifts just in time. Even in her sort of weakened state, she has quite a bit of speed to her. You stick it into her neck. Go ahead and roll d6 plus 2. I guess you get plus 1 more for your Cyber Bushido for damage.
I'm going to reroll that 1. Came up a 1 again, so I think it didn't roll. This thing is twitchy. Okay, came up a 2, so that's 5.
Okay. Yeah, she screams and she kind of grips you with your arms and manages to throw you off of her. And after you do that, right, now that you've all been in here for just a moment, you see that beyond this room, there's a tunnel that seems to have been dug into the natural earth and rock here. You see it goes on for a while. This is something you hadn't really seen with your astral senses before. This didn't show up on any of the city plans that you looked at before, right? There weren't any tunnels that connected here. And you can hear from deep down in that tunnel a sound of clickering and clattering, chittering, echoing through the tunnel from far away. As soon as you're in here, you can see that those figures that are writhing in these cocoons are human shapes. You know that much. But this queen, she's angry. She's busy, but she is quite capable. So what happens next?
I was going to say, if there's a tunnel, I just look at Cloud Kills and say, you've got explosive, right? I point at that. But, like, since Sharper's actions basically give us a moment to, breathe, there's a bunch of bad in this room, and I don't think I've got a choice since they're all magical. I kind of look down at that, fairy that I'd been saving from before. I say, oh, this is going to suck. And I just jam it into my face as I, extend out So it's like with my cyber hand, I'm like putting it in as I like gesture out with my meat hand and like get ready to channel some of the old me.
So what comes out of your hand instead of bullets is pure fire as you shoot a gout of flame at this queen. We'll worry about what happens because you ate a fairy later. But I'm going to have you go ahead and roll for damage. This is not going to take her armor into account. So just roll 1d6 plus, either charisma or intelligence, yeah. Well, wait, use of magic would be related to will, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Let's call this 1d6 plus 2 damage then.
Okay. Is that another 6 or did it not roll? Here, let me do... Where's that roll selected? Still says 6, so I'm assuming that's a 6?
Sweet.
Okay. There's not like a flash of, like, I rolled, right? Okay.
Yeah, I think you're good.
So then that's an 8.
Very cool.
Or no, that's a 7. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Or no, it's will. So yeah, it's an 8.
6 plus 2. 8 damage. Perfect. That smell of yeast that was there before now fills your nose with this acrid smells like burnt toast, right? And sizzling out of her exoskeleton is, this acid blood like boiling beneath her chitin plating. Again, this scream is even more blood curdling than before that's coming, and it's echoing down that tunnel, and the sound coming from there is getting louder and louder. We're gonna do a bomb. Is that the plan?
Yeah. So Cloud Kills is going to yell, "Everybody out! I'm going to bring this whole place down!" And then she's just going to toss the entire block of C10 into the mouth of the tunnel, which is an incredible amount of explosive. She's got the detonator along with it. So yeah, it's not just going to like impact burst or anything. So she's basically yelling for everyone to get out of the zone before she blows it.
Just so you know, the zone is like this whole neighborhood. You're going to have to be out of the building and into the van and speeding off before you detonate this if you don't want to get blown up. So
my eyes go wide when I realize she didn't just like throw a brick, but she threw the whole package. And I say, that wasn't what I meant.
These other abominations, right? They're like moving slowly and like stumbling. They're like obviously like servants or something like that, right? They're not really here to combat you. But the queen is a powerful spirit, and she's pissed off. And she doesn't necessarily know what a bomb is, but she hates you all so much right now. You have a moment to run out, but if you want to try to pick up any of these bodies or drag any of these cocoons out of here, you're going to have to deal with the queen.
I think we go.
Yeah, I think Cloud Kills is already like retreating away from the door. She's not trying to pull anyone out.
I take half a step after my companions, and then I realize that like Bambra is probably like totally reaching for a cocoon.
He's shooting at the queen.
Oh, he is? Okay.
A cocoon.
And then when I realize that that's what he's doing, if he's like keeping it occupied for a moment, he shakes his head and says, "This is stupid, Bogey," and flips out a knife that he has like in the small of his back and just tries to like slash across one of the cocoons real quick just to see if there's a face that he recognizes, he will just drag it part and parcel.
Yeah. Whose face do you think it is? It's either going to be Victoria or Anna. You might not know who Anna's face is, but
Yeah,
we'll say with the Hornet drone, he'd be able to confirm.
I would actually say, since he's got no clues from outside, it would just be the die of fate as to like who he manages to grab. If there's 3 of them down here, there's a chance that it's who Bambra wants. It's a chance that it's somebody else, or it might just be like some poor schlub.
It's a schlub. You got 1.
Ugh.
And I'll say with that too, not only is it an unfamiliar face. No, you know what? I know who this is. This is Victoria. But
Okay.
she is halfway through the process of a failed metamorphosis. Her face, I don't even know if I have the words to describe what's going on here, especially because I don't want to give any of you all nightmares. But this is like some Clive Barker shit, right? Like, we're talking like the skin is pulled in a weird way, and like her eyes are like, you know, bug eyes now, but I don't want to get too much further afield. It's hideous. It's discomforting. Your stomach is feeling nauseous, and you've seen a lot as a cop. And your moment of humanity has put you in the line of fire of the Queen. And she will cast a spell from an alien dimension to try to kill you. And she will roll 2d6 damage.
Yikes.
It's a powerful queen from beyond time and space.
Oh, does that mean I roll it? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Four plus 4 is 8.
How's your health
thing
looking?
that he convinced me to do some healing.
Okay, but you're kind of like on the verge of death here, right?
Yes.
Anybody dragging him out?
That's what
I
the
think
NPC
that
is
I
for.
just shout as I stumble to the door, kind of like, you know, like trying to not vomit up everything that I have inside me and bleed out everything that could be bled. Bambra, she's not here. Let's go. And I just kind of like grab onto his coattail and pull.
He's yelling, "No, this is all a bunch of dreck. They took her from me. They took her from me." And he's like shooting at the Queen, and you see him like get hit full on with like a spray of like acid, like a bolt of acid has been sent at him, and it's like you can see like his chest cavities opened up from like the acid like burning through his rib cage, and he falls to the ground dead. Could save him.
I mean, like, I was trying to tug him toward the door. I probably have him half out of the door before I realize I'm lugging a corpse, not a guy.
Yeah.
But I'm going up behind them.
And I think as you're pulling out the door, like you see 2 grenades without their pins sail over your head that Cloud Kills has just tossed into the room.
Very cool.
Yeah, fair enough.
So we're all heading back up to the elevator with haste. We're trying to get out of here as quickly as possible. I'm trying to decide if I want to leave any of this to a roll. I think that you're all able. The doors of the elevator start to close, and you see like ants just piling out of that room, right? Just running at the door, and like you hear them like clawing at the elevator door as you go up, and you kind of feel your body, like you can almost feel the ward going over you, even though you're not in the astral realm, because you can feel that ickiness of the background count being like confined below you. And you know that those spirits are stuck down there too.
Okay.
You all make a beeline for the van.
And Ace has got it prepped for us, right?
Ace has got it running.
So off we go.
Cloud Kills, you're able to sort of like measure how far you got to be before you detonate. One last thing from Sharper.
One last thing from Sharper is I'm taking the witch.
Oh. Interesting. Cool. We see a shuddering followed by fire explosion cracking up out of the ground, leveling the chapter house of the Universal Brotherhood. We see a sort of collapse in and on itself, almost like a sinkhole, right? Neighboring buildings shifted on their foundations, crumbled onto the ruins and the wreckage. We see the three of you speeding away, haunted by what you've seen, I imagine. But good footage.
Yeah, I think Cloud Kills actually is watching all of this like
right?
through her
Ace is
camera.
driving.
Like she's watching all the explosions and everything through the camera.
Yeah, if you thought breaking and entering was bad, this is a little bit more than vandalism, I think. But amazingly, you've all made it out with your lives, and
That's debatable.
Well, except for Bramba. You're speeding away, trying to get to your destination when you see some distance away police roadblocks, and these have been up for a while, like not like as a response to an explosion. And you can kind of take a side route, right? And you take an alley down here, but there's some police presence going on right now. You're not really sure why. Maybe you turn on the local news. You see police lockdown in effect is the sort of the current headline, until it swipes away to major explosion in residential area. More details to follow, right? But yeah, you completed your mission. Thank you all for your patience, for sticking with us, even with our pacing mismatched expectations, for sticking around for an extra 37 minutes. I appreciate that. Any final parting words?
No, it's fun.
I mean, we've got some bookkeeping and some parting out of our treasures, up to and including ant shaman to deal with. But
Indeed. We
might want to go ahead and do flags. If
thank you for running.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Take some notes if you have time before bed about any flags you think you personally hit, any people you think might have hit your flags. We'll do bookkeeping, we'll do rest, we'll do all that. We'll deal with the fact that next week you will be no longer in Chicago, but within the confines of the Chicago containment zone. What the implications of that are, what sort of situation you find yourselves in, what you're going to do with an insect shaman prisoner. Okay.
Oh, we don't want to keep that.
Well, probably my last words before promptly passing out are like just sort of pointing at her unconscious form and just like in this sort of like accusing vehemence, saying, she brought this crap here. She should have been down in that basement when it went up.
Then you get hit with the trauma patch.
Cloud Kill says, yeah, but she's going to be a hell of an interview.
Very interesting. I'm looking forward to exploring all of that. We'll try to keep the next two sessions a little bit more tight in form of pacing so that I don't keep you all as late. But I think I'm going to let you all head off, and we'll sign off here, and we'll be in communication over the week, figuring out where the hell we are so that we can start off on the right foot next week. Sound good?
All right. Thanks
Thanks,
guys.
everybody.
Good session.
Have a good night, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, bye.